The opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow alone. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
Welcome into a Wednesday edition of Running Point on ysnlive.com. I'm wearing the losing gear. Anthony's wearing the winning gear. His team's in the Super Bowl. My team is watching the Super Bowl on Sunday. And we'll just be done with that commentary right now. Today is National Women and Girls in Sports Day, and I kind of think it's ironic given the fact that we're probably going to be talking an awful lot of girls basketball along with guys basketball. Let's first kick things off by letting everyone know two things. Number one, the show is brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. Product placement, attaboy. If you're in the market for a new or slightly used automobile, you need to get yourself down to Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. Do it before you make your commitment. I'm going to tell you, give these guys an opportunity, these guys and gals an opportunity to win your business. If you do, I guarantee you, you will be happy with what they give you. Trust me. All right, that's number one. Number two, the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline is open, 330-886-0813. We begin girls basketball last night down in Columbiana. Heartland Christian getting an exciting come-from-behind victory over Warren JFK. JFK had a 4-point lead entering the fourth and final quarter. They were up 41-37. Heartland outscores JFK 21-11. In the ball game, Maddie Matthews, 35 points. She breaks the school record for most points in a game. She held it. I think she's broken it 3 or 4 times. She now has 383 points this season and counting. That is a school record as well. Heartland is now 5-14. They will play Cheney on Friday. For JFK, this is a team, unfortunately, that has not played a whole lot of games, but you get the feeling a few more games.
They're much improved from their season opener where they lost 74-2. So when you start off the season like that and then you come on and you're up by 4 in the fourth quarter, you have every chance to win. That just tells a lot about the team's mental fortitude and the team's ability to buy into what the coach is selling and put in their effort and hard work every step of the way. So yeah, they're starting to gel as a team, and they'll be ready to kind of go in and try to give their matchup with a 1 seed, I think.
It'll be interesting.
Or 2. We were talking about Monday.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do. Julia Toth led the JFK Eagles with 26 points. Faith Hollabaugh chipped in with 10.
That would normally be a really good night. 26 points.
No doubt.
You feel like you're going to win, and unfortunately for you, on the other side, Maddie Matthews just did another incredible thing. It's like you're down 4 in the fourth quarter, and you go enter Maddie Matthews.
Yeah, well, Maddie is she can take over a game anytime she wants to, and that's exactly what happened in the fourth quarter.
Take over the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline.
Yeah, let's go to the line right now. Mr. Football, what's going on, my brother?
Hello to you and your vast internet radio audience.
Yes, sir.
Did you get your block pulls yet, Ronnie?
I have not gotten my block pull.
Oh, well.
Are you going to be doing anything of that nature?
No, not this year. I'm a a patron of them, but I'm not putting anything out. I got 3 out of the 5 that I'm in that range from $100 a block that we went partners with to
There you go.
$20 a block.
Okay.
And all the numbers in between.
Well, the Italian American Club has a $25 per block, and I think I'm going to probably get myself in on 1 or 2 of those.
Ronnie, in your audience out there, isn't it, how should I put this? In your lifetime on the radio, we've seen not mentioning gambling to now there's on television you could go to various places and you could get in on these different blocks for $50,000 a year, and all you got to do is enter your name and your phone number or whatever way you want to do it. And,
Yeah.
And they're not international, but national and stuff like that. And just a few years ago, it was taboo to mention the lines on your show or other shows at other stations you were at.
Well, I mean, in fairness, and I think you're going to agree with this, Mr. Football, the Supreme Court making that decision 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, that the Supreme Court made the decision that Nevada was essentially playing a game of Monopoly where they were the only ones that were allowed to open up sportsbook gambling. And the Supreme Court finally said, you know what, that's not right. All the states should be allowed to do that.
Right.
And that opened the floodgates for everyone. Now, hopefully, Ohio gets off their collective ass. And I'd love to have State Senator Michael Rulli on the program because 2 years ago when I was at iHeart doing sports wrap, I had him on. And he said, hey, we're going to get this thing done by the end of 2018 or 2019. Well, it's 2021. And the state of Ohio still hasn't gotten off their ass to do this. Meanwhile, West Virginia has it, Kentucky has it, Pennsylvania has it, Michigan has it, Indiana has it. So everyone that's bordering one of those states, and we border 2 of them in northeastern Ohio, you can get to Pittsburgh in about an hour from here. You can get to West Virginia in about 30 minutes from here. And I've gone to West Virginia more than a few times. They're taking money that should belong to the state of Ohio. And it's laziness by the state of Ohio that's cost this state literally billions of dollars from people who want to bet legally on their favorite sports teams. It's absurd what the state is not doing right now.
I talked to one of the how should I say it, bosses at our local racino in Austintown, and he says, it's all set to go. All they have to do is pass the bill, and you'll be able to go, not at your local convenience store, but to the 8 different casinos and racinos in the state of Ohio, and you could go in, if you like Kansas City, you could go in and put, in your case, Ronnie, a couple $100 down, and they'll write you out a chit for $220, and when that team covers the point spread or wins the game, which way you're going to bet, you bring that back, they give you your $220 back plus another $200.
Well, and look, I mean, it's a no-brainer. And
Right.
and I think that the size of Hollywood's Racino, you've got the gorgeous racetrack, and you've got the first and second floor where everyone is watching the closed-circuit races from across the country because they're not only just betting on Mahoning Valley when they're in service, they're betting on all the other racetracks. Ideally, you can turn one of those floors into exclusively a horse racing betting facility, and the second floor or the first floor, whichever one they choose for the horse racing, the other entity is going to be sports betting. And
Right.
I think that you would automatically have a better facility than Mountaineer. And with all due respect to Mountaineer, it's a great place. But their sports book is so damn small, and they allow smoking,
exactly right.
which turns me off because I don't want to smell like ash. And when I leave, I don't want to have my clothes smell like they've gone through a friggin' smoking factory. I don't want that. So I think that if they do it right, it would be the perfect scenario. And like I said, the state of Ohio would get literally billions of dollars a year in gambling because there's a lot of gambling degenerates that live in Ohio.
Well, they certainly missed the ball, but I seen the governor saying that soon as they get the Congress back and the Senate back into session, that one of the first things on his list, besides the COVID vaccination, and I got mine at the VA Sunday, and everything seems to be working okay. My arm didn't swell up. I didn't get a fever or anything like it. It was a little sore for a day.
You didn't grow any extra teeth or a large amount of hair, did you?
No.
Right.
I didn't grow a third nose or an eye.
All right, well, that's
everything
good.
looks good. Everything, knock on wood, looks good. There's the wood.
There it is.
And then, it seems like, that should be one of the first things on his list. I know that the COVID is more important, but this should be on the list before they broke for summer recess. This should have had this bill passed.
I agree with you, because you missed out on football season, and let's be honest, football is, other than March Madness, football is the single most gambling opportunity for those that bet on sports. Football's number one. That's why the sport is number one. And
this Super Bowl is the most bet, more than the Kentucky Derby, more than I think March Madness, more than some of them other sporting World Series. This tops it all, because everybody knows about the Super Bowl, and everyone wants a piece of the action. And most people tend to bet when they go up to put their money down. They bet favorites because they like Kansas City. They like Mahone. They like the colors, this and that. But in this game, it really complex for myself. I've already bet my bet, and it's not either team. It's the over. The over 54.5 points. I went with that early and often at that number. And I'm just hoping that it's a good game. You have the GOAT on one side and I would say a younger GOAT on the other side.
Which is a kid. So it's the GOAT versus the kid.
the GOAT versus...
Oh, that's a good one. Whoever that guy's in there helping you, Ronnie. That's a good... The kid, the GOAT and the kid.
Yeah, that's Anthony. By the way, the over-under right now in that game is 56. So you got a really great investment.
Yes, that was really good. Sometimes it pays to bet early. And the other thing, too, is that this Super Bowl, I would say this could be the beginning of the career of one, kid, we'll say. He might have a chance to get to maybe 4 or 5 Super Bowls before his career is over. Not, Brady's, I would have to say, Montana had 4, Bradshaw had 4. Then the rest of them are scattered out with 3.
Yeah.
2 or 3, down the road. The Mannings had 2 each in their careers. And, I can't think of someone else that had 3. Can you, Ronnie?
Staubach had 3, if I'm not
that's
mistaken.
Right. Roger Staubach had
Yeah.
2 or 3, I forget. Yeah.
Yeah, he had 3. So, it's just... Actually, he had 4. Because the 2 games against the Steelers, the game against Miami, and the game against Denver.
Ones that won.
We're talking about wins, not...
Oh, okay.
Number of wins, I think Staubach only had 2.
Well, yeah, and then if you're going to go by wins, they beat Miami, they beat Denver, but they lost the 2 games against the Steelers. And I don't believe he was the starting quarterback when they lost to the Colts, so it really wouldn't have mattered. So, yeah, he only has 2 Super Bowl titles.
Super Bowls, yes. I think Montana and Bradshaw have 4, and of course Brady got going.
Brady has 6 right now.
Yeah, he is truly the GOAT in that when it comes to that.
Well, in the Super Bowl era, he is.
In the Super Bowl era, yes, he is. And he was what, a 12th round pick or whatever?
He was a 6th. He was a 6th round pick.
Sorry.
Yep.
Now, getting back to the game and everything, I think it's going to be a fast-paced game, except if it starts to rain down there. And I'm not privy to the computer right now, but they said it's going to start off nice, but it might get a little thundershowers.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a hit and miss type of a day.
Typical
in Tampa.
Florida. Typical Florida weather.
Oh,
it might rain for a half an hour or an hour, and then it'll be sunny, and then it'll rain again. And then it'll
Liquid
be sunny.
sunshine.
Well, I got one for us today, Ronnie, for the people that are listening in. 4th race at our local racino, Valiant Vinny.
Gee, I wonder why you're picking Valiant Vinny.
Well, a little bit with the name recognition. The other one is that his workouts have been really great, but he's a 7 to 5 early morning line. If I'm going to do anything on him, I may put win place bet on him like that. I mean, no, of course, use him in the 1, 2, 3 trifecta box. I would put him in that one.
Who's riding him today?
I think Barbara or I'm not sure. I'm not, like I said, I'm not at the computer right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do some investigating on that one.
Yep. All right, guys. Good luck to you, and we'll talk again maybe on Friday.
All righty, sir. Appreciate you, Mr. Football, checking in.
He said that you would go in and put a couple $100 on a game, and I just meant, when did Ron?
Yeah, exactly.
But
sarcasm is a wonderful thing in Vince's world. Yeah, first of all, I don't have a couple of $100. Secondly, I don't have a couple of $100. Ay. All right, 330-886-0813.
Because you put on the Bills winning.
Yeah, well, that's
4 times in a row, and you lost every year.
No, actually, I learned my lesson after the first one because they were 7-point favorites in that game, and it was supposed to. They were coming off the blowout win against the Raiders, and I'm thinking to myself, "Oh, this is going to be easy." Little did I know that little Billy Belichick had this game plan of all game plans that was going to kick everyone's backside, and sure enough, he did. By the way, the weather forecast in Tampa during the day: thunderstorms in the morning, chance of scattered thunderstorms in the afternoon, cloudy with a few showers in the evening, 30% chance of rain on Sunday night. During the game, 61 for a low. So game time temperature is going to be somewhere around 70 degrees. Not too shabby.
And it looks like all the rain will be gone by then, and they'll have the field covered for the whole morning and afternoon. So it should be a pretty good playing surface, and should have a fun non-weather impacted game, which is, I guess, what the NFL really wants out of their Super Bowls.
Okay, speaking of surfaces that don't need to be tarped because they're inside, basketball.
Unless you have a leaky roof.
Well, yeah.
And no one does, thankfully.
Yeah, no kidding. Lots of really entertaining games, both yesterday and Monday.
I was really impressed with Ursuline sweeping the season series with Mooney. I thought they played really well last night, and that was one of the games that I thought, man, the last time they got Mooney, they were coming off a long COVID, stoppage, and maybe Mooney's a little bit rusty, but I'm sure they'll get back to full strength and maybe even up that series. But Ursuline was having none of that. And,
is it just me, or has Cardinal Mooney really lost an edge since they were put on COVID?
I think they did. I mean, it was a long COVID stoppage. They were stopped for, 20 days or something like that?
Yeah.
I mean, it was long. It wasn't your little 10-day quarantine. But it seems like they were hitting the ground running before then, and now it's a little bit off.
They still have time. I mean,
and Pelini's hurt, right?
Yeah. And look, they still have time. I mean, I want to look at this with the glass half full. And let's be honest, given the fact that the area already has a reputation of not being the best in basketball.
It's under the radar.
Yeah. And then you have Cardinal Mooney, who's clearly been struggling for the last 2 or 3 weeks. Perhaps, come Sunday when the voting comes out, Cardinal Mooney gets a rather low seed, which could very easily turn into a situation where Cardinal Mooney salivates at their opponents.
Unfortunately for Mooney, everyone in the area understands who they are, who they play, et cetera, et cetera.
No, I get it, but
they already have 7 or 8 wins under their belt, so I don't think they're going to be snubbed with a really low seed.
I get it, but there's going to be that second district where nobody's from the area, and everyone's going to look at the record and say,
You're not from the area, but you know who Cardinal Mooney is.
Well, you know who Cardinal Mooney's football program is.
I know, but it might get, the name might bring out some, oh man, that's Mooney. They're a parochial school. They play.
Yeah.
It seems like even like the guys here, when they see a team like, who are we talking about? Notre Dame Cathedral Latin.
Yes.
You're going to give them a higher seed just because you understand that team probably plays up, because those teams always usually play the independent schedule where they can play up.
Sure.
So I think Mooney will get the benefit of the doubt.
Is Mooney going to get a higher seed than Cheney?
That's interesting.
Because I think
I don't
both.
think so.
Honest to God, I think both of them are going to be the recipient of. Okay, you both had COVID. You really haven't played as great as we thought you guys would be. We're not going to put you anywhere close to where you deserve, but we're going to put you in an area where you're going to be rather low seed. And both of those programs will look at this and go, thank you very much. We're about to go on a roll here, and let's have some fun.
I think Cheney might get more respect than Mooney just because of where Cheney was last year. And I think everyone understands they were one of the last 16 teams remaining before the shutdown of last season. So they'll get a little props just for that. So I think I think Cheney will be seated ahead of Mooney, no matter how it.
Okay, now let me ask you, since we're into the who's going to get seated higher. Salem gets a big victory over Carrollton on the road. They go to 11-4. They're 7-1 in the EBC. This is a conference that includes West Branch, Canton South, who are both very close to Salem's record league-wise. Carrollton, not a bad team, not a great team, but not a bad team. Alliance, who has been pretty solid this year, give or take a few losses. Where does Salem fit in all of this in D2? Keep in mind, Mooney, Cheney, Salem, amongst about a dozen teams that are going to be really good in this Super Size Me district. Where do you put them?
I honestly think we might see the girls and the boys be ranked in the same spot. You might have Salem be the 4 seed. Maybe 4 or 5, somewhere in that range, because they put together a really good season. They're going to win the EBC if they take care of business. And when you look at it, I think they deserve that spot. They've beaten a lot of other teams out of conference. They've beaten South Range. So I think, and they beat Hudson. That's the big win.
Yeah.
Hudson last weekend in Division I. I wouldn't be surprised if they're the 4 seed right with the girls who are the 4 seed in Division II. But we'll have to see. Like, I don't know the district breakdown. Is Perry and teams out in the Maslin area, are they kind of creeping into they probably are.
That's where.
So you gotta look at where they're going to rank.
That's where this is going to be fun. By the way, West Branch lost to Canton South in overtime. In Canton, the Warriors are 13-5 on the campaign.
They did a good job forcing overtime because they were in a little bit of a hole in the fourth quarter, and they forced overtime. But Canton South did a good job of responding and winning in overtime after they fell apart a little bit in the fourth quarter. So,
yeah, I'll be curious to see where West Branch falls into this. I'll be curious to see where they put Ursuline. I mean, this Division II is so stacked with really good basketball teams.
Poland's shut down right now.
Yeah,
but where are you going to put them after their shutdown?
You have to put Poland in the top 5. You have to. I mean, that's. But who do you kick out?
Right. It's like, I don't know if they'll get top 5.
Yeah, I think this is going to be fascinating, and that's why I think Mooney and Cheney are not going to be in the top 5. Neither one of them will, and I think that's where you look at this and go, "Thank you very much. We're going to go on a pretty significant tournament run." Because I honestly believe if Mooney gets healthy, that is the sneaky, under-the-radar team that nobody is going to want to play if they can get back to playing pre-COVID Cardinal Mooney basketball, because that was a really good team.
It's flipped from the girls, right? Mooney's Division 3.
Mooney's 3 in girls.
Ursuline's.
And Ursuline's 2.
No, Mooney's 2 in girls.
Mooney's 2 in girls. Ursuline's 3 in girls.
Ursuline
is 2 in boys. Mooney's 3 in boys. So Mooney's not going to get a very high seed in D3.
Well, they might get a higher seed than they would if they were in D2, because all these teams we're talking about are all D2.
That's true.
So they might
we can't lump Mooney into Cheney and whomever.
Mooney might get like a 6 or a 5 because especially if they're D3. They're better. I mean, they're frankly better than a lot of those teams in Division 3. Not all of them, but a lot of them. They're just better. They play better teams, and their schedule's better. So I think that they might get into the top 5 or the top 6 in Division 3.
We'll see. It's and off the top of my head, in all honesty, I mean, Springfield will probably have a higher seed.
Yeah.
Waterloo, even though they got beat.
Waterloo got beat bad last night.
Yeah.
And Springfield already beat them bad. They play Springfield again, I think.
I believe they do.
Friday?
I believe they do.
Friday is this Friday is Springfield Waterloo. And then I think next Friday is Springfield McDonald, which will be really fun.
Yeah.
That's the one I'm looking at.
Now, let me ask you, and we spoke of Waterloo. JFK beat them by 20 points. And we sat back and said, what do we think of what can we think of JFK? We have no idea what this product is. They didn't play basketball until after the first of the year. This game last night just told me that there is a kid on the block in Division 4 that is going to be a player joining McDonald and Lisbon. And, oh, by the way, Wellsville, who beat Lisbon last night on the river.
What a game.
Bug Thompson might be the best basketball coach in Columbiana County. He gets so much out of those kids. It's frightening.
Now I'm just going through the coaches in my head.
Yeah, out of all the boys coaches in Columbiana County, and I think that obviously the Salem coach has done a pretty damn good job.
That technically counts in Salem, but you almost put Salem in a league of their own in Columbiana County because everyone else in Columbiana County is down in Division 3 or 4.
Well, East Liverpool isn't.
Okay.
Yeah, East
You're
Liverpool
right.
and Salem are the two big schools, and Beaver Local is probably a step behind them. I think Beaver Local is a 3. They might be a 2, but I believe they're a 3, a big 3. And then Liverpool and Salem are both 2s.
Right.
So, but Bud Thompson probably gets more out of his kids than any other coach, at least any other coach in the EOAC.
Plus, how do you not love a guy named Bug?
Oh, yeah. It's,
I mean, what a name.
Yeah, Bug is he does a fantastic job. No two ways about it.
Wouldn't you love to be a fly on the wall in his practice?
Oh. The first of a few going to be cranked out by Anthony today. Oh,
Couldn't
Lordy.
help it.
Valley Christian getting a 4-point victory over United last night in Youngstown.
They win the Battle of the Birds.
Indeed. They're now 6-2 in the EOAC, and with Wellsville beating Lisbon, that race gets real tight. Now, Southern's undefeated in the league, but they haven't played very many teams because of COVID. Now, here's another team that's in Division 4. They dropped from 3 to 4 this year. We haven't really talked that much about Southern Local.
We haven't seen them.
But Southern Local, one would assume, based on their record, they'll get a pretty high seed come Sunday when the tournaments are announced and the drawing is announced.
It's going to be interesting to see how the boys' coaches seed teams that have a good record but also haven't played a lot compared to teams that might not have as good of a record but almost comparable, but they've played a lot more games. It'll be interesting.
And JFK and Southern are two great examples. Now, I think Southern's played a few more games than JFK has. But what do you do with JFK? I mean, prior to last night, where was their signature victory? I mean, they got one last night, a 20-point victory against a pretty good Waterloo team.
Waterloo team.
You just opened a lot of people's eyes, and the fact that you scored 89 points on a pretty good Waterloo team, that tells me JFK's got a solid basketball team, and they'll be a tough out in Division 4.
And then you obviously remember what JFK did in last year's tournament. They made a nice run, and everyone understands that. And they returned a lot of people. So they might be a team that gets a little bit of respect, even though they haven't played a lot of games yet.
You know, Matthews got a victory over Badger last night, 72-59. Where do you put the Mustangs? Both of those teams are Division 4. Badger and Bristol, historically, they're supposed to be good basketball teams. Now, both teams are probably a little off in comparison to what they have done in the past, but they're both still pretty decent teams. Like we said, Kennedy get a victory over Waterloo. Harding is in the win column. They beat Howland 54-47. Here's another team in Division 1. We talk about Boardman, and Boardman, they'll get a pretty nice seed in Division 1. Where do you put Harding? And I know that program is going to round into shape before the tournament, and their record has not been good since they've come back. But I know this team is going to be ready come tournament time, because they always are.
Yeah, they're going to get in the bottom half of the seeding just because of their record, and that might be a mistake. Well, we're going to see how well-rounded they can get, but they have a very tough district because they're going to be up in that the upper tier of that district. So we're going to see what they're made of come tournament time. Okay,
an exciting girls game that had a lot of implications in the gray division of the MVAC last night. Brookfield getting a 3-point win against Newton Falls.
Completing the season sweep. What a job by Brookfield. We're going to have both those coaches on tomorrow. So that's going to be a fun show to have them back-to-back with each other. Coach Baker at Newton Falls and then Coach Forsyth at Brookfield. So Brookfield's putting together an incredible season. They're proving again and again why they earned that 3 seed in Division 3. And they have one more test, and that's really beating Crestview, and that comes tomorrow, right?
No, Crestview's got Newton Falls tomorrow.
Next week, it's Brookfield, Crestview next week. So that's a big game for the Rebels tomorrow, though. By the way,
absolutely,
Newton Falls is coming off a big loss, and they're going to want to win, and Crestview's got to build some momentum, and it's going to be a fun 2 weeks in the MVAC gray tier.
I think this was just a fantastic victory for Brookfield. I mean, it's hard to believe they've lost just one game, and it was to Crestview. And I had the privilege of broadcasting that game, and the Crestview girls looked really good that night against Brookfield. Now, I don't know if it was because of home court advantage, the fact that Brookfield, like all the other teams in the MVAC gray tier, they got to travel a ways, because Crestview it's kind of like what Valley Christian is to the EOAC, where all of the Columbiana County schools have to journey up to Youngstown. Well, all of these Trumbull County, Mahoning County schools in the gray tier of the MVAC, they got to drive down to Columbiana County. And it's kind of a really nice built-in home court advantage for Crestview, in that the closest team has to travel 25, 30 minutes down the road to get to Crestview. So it's a pretty nice advantage if you're the one team that is the furthest point south, or in Valley's case, the furthest point north. They have a great home court advantage when they bring on any team out of the EOAC. Even the teams in northern Columbiana County, like Leetonia and Palestine, they still got to travel 25, 30 minutes up the road to play where Valley plays their games. It's a great advantage.
That plus Crestview, just the way they're built to beat a team like Brookfield, who's a little bit smaller, likes to run. The guards are a little bit smaller. I think Crestview just matches up a little bit better to Brookfield than, say, Newton Falls does, because their styles are a little bit more contrasting. If Crestview wins the tempo battle, Brookfield's in trouble. And that's probably, you broadcasted the game. I bet Crestview slowed the game down a little bit, and that got Brookfield out of their rhythm a little bit.
Well, you can't beat a Brookfield or a Liberty by playing their tempo. Right. You must play half-court basketball, and frankly, Crestview's really good when they play half-court basketball, when they force them to play that.
Stay away from the live ball turnovers, and then, stay away from making a little bit of those positioning mistakes in defense where you give someone a wide-open cut to the basket or something like that. And then, if you do all that and you have Sophia Hook on an off night, because she can get her shot anywhere she wants to off the dribble. So if you do that, plus she has an off night, you have a good chance to beat Brookfield.
Absolutely. And what do? I mean, do you put two people on Sophia Hook and then play a triangle defense.
Well,
I mean, they didn't need to do that because she had an off night.
Problem is, the big reason why Brookfield won is because they have a second scorer.
Exactly.
And Reardon. So, you know, that's what makes them a little bit tougher than a lot of teams that have one superstar or one girl that's really good. They have two. So you have to really defend two people when you're playing Brookfield.
So here's the standings. I mean, Brookfield is now 7-1 in the league, 12-1 overall. Newton Falls falls to 4-2.
Both losses to Brookfield.
Both losses to Brookfield. They're 8-3. I'm sorry, 6-3 overall. Crestview's 3-4 in the league, 10-7 overall. LeBray is 3-3 in the league, 6-4 overall. So, I mean, essentially, LeBray's 2 games out in the loss column. Crestview's 3 out in the loss column. Neither one of them are going to be in this race.
And all 3 of them are in the bottom half of that Division III Northeast 1 bracket.
Yeah.
Crestview, LeBray, and Brookfield.
And Brookfield, yeah. That's, good night. That is going to be such a fun tier. That's going to be such a fun bracket to see. Just a really, really good brand of basketball. No two ways about it. Now, Champion is 2-1, but they've only played 3 league games. Mm-hmm. They're not going to be able to get all of their league games in. I mean, good Lord, you got to play 9 more league games, and the tournaments start 2 weeks from today.
The good news for Champion, if you just play Brookfield twice, even if you beat Brookfield once, you can call yourself some VAC champions. Even though you didn't go through the whole schedule, everyone else is so far below Brookfield they can't catch them. That if you beat Brookfield and they have 2 losses, you have 1. Then you can kind of set yourself atop that conference at that point.
Yeah. If we look at the Scarlet tier, you have McDonald at 5-0, Western Reserve at 5-1. You have Waterloo at 5-3.
Western Reserve lost twice.
Well, okay, yeah, and they got to update this.
So that must be before Saturday.
Yeah, they have to update this. So Jackson Milton is the only team right now that has played most of their league games. They've played 12 of them. They're 7-5.
And they're the 6th seed. So Jackson Milton will be heard from before the tournament is over. Yeah. We had Jackson Milton go into the district championship against Western Reserve, I believe. I believe we picked them to get out of that bottom half of the bracket.
Yes, because I had Leetonia playing Jackson Milton in the district semifinals because I ain't scared of East Canton.
You ain't scared?
I ain't scared of East Canton.
So you got to get, I think Southern's in there too. So you had Leetonia getting past both of them.
Well, no, they didn't play Southern.
I forget where they fell.
Yeah.
I thought they did.
Yeah, they didn't play Southern.
All these brackets mesh together after you talk about them for 3 hours on a Monday.
Yeah, that's... I got to ask, we talked a little bit about this yesterday. What is your what's your opinion on this? I mean, it's going to be the first year, and hopefully, I got to be honest. I'm someone that still wants everyone plays in one arena, but it's never going to happen. Now I know that. Given the fact that I know that, I love this format.
I do too. One of the and we've talked about it before. One of the things I really do love about it is it gives more local teams the opportunity to go to a regional game, which is going to grow their brand of basketball because you're going to get these girls into that stage. Once you get your program into a regional stage, and if you consistently get there, that program's going to grow. I don't care if you're winning in the regional semifinal or if you're competing. You have to get there first, and then you have to consistently get there. That's how you build the program.
Yeah.
So now that there are more chances for local teams to do that with them not having to play each other in a district, I think that's going to do wonders for our basketball here in the local valley because, like I said, programs get built when you get there and you consistently get there and you take the next steps.
I mean, in theory, it's supposed to work out that way.
And that's why South Range is where they're at right now because back Matisse took the job in 2013, so what's that, 8 years ago?
Yes.
They hadn't won a district championship since the early 1990s. He got them to the regionals. He got them to the regionals again, and again the program got used to winning. The standard was there, and then last year official takes over, and all of a sudden he raises the standard a little bit more, and they get to a regional final, and now they're one of the favorites to go to a state semifinal in the region. So you just have to get the program to keep understanding that this is the standard, and then once they reach that standard, you raise it a little bit. So,
And in theory, that's supposed to be the case. I will tell you from my experience at Latonia, unfortunately,
sometimes theory doesn't exactly
it doesn't
equal
work
reality.
because there was a 5-year stretch where Latonia won 5 consecutive district championships and went to the regional tournament. They haven't sniffed a district championship or a district championship appearance since that 5-year run, which shame on them.
So then you have to look at what were they doing during that 5 years in the levels of basketball below varsity.
And that's what I would love to know, because I was detached from, not only detached from the program, I was detached from the area because I was living out of state. So I have no idea what they did. What I do know is Bree Duco and Jessica DeVille, who are both members of the Latonia High School Hall of Fame, provided an ungodly inside-outside game where Latonia just went to the regionals 5 years in a row, went to a regional championship game 2 or 3 years in a row, and then after Jessica DeVille graduated high school, that was the last we saw of Latonia winning or getting into a district championship game.
And it sounds like, you don't want to, I don't want to speculate, and obviously you weren't there, but it sounds like it's just one of those things where they rode the coattails of those players until they graduated, and then they didn't have a plan.
You caught lightning in a bottle, and then the bottle exploded.
And when you catch lightning in a bottle, you have to have a plan for after that bottle is
Exactly.
empty. And this doesn't sound like they did.
Yeah, and it's a damn shame. But, I'll give all the credit to John Ritz, who's trying to get that program to get to that level, and
They're starting to get there.
They're
a 10 seed, and that's I think on their record they've lost a couple games they shouldn't maybe, but they're a little bit better than a 10 seed in
I think they are, and that's why I think they're gonna make some noise in this tournament. I don't think that they're going to win a district championship, but I think that they will ultimately make some noise, and we'll see what happens. But I'm with you. Here's the other reason why I love this format. You now have all the onus on a regular season. You have to produce in the regular season. And it's not just about wins and losses. I mean, coaches are going to look at schedules before they do the voting and say, oh, this team played a schedule with the equivalent of stepping over a Sunday paper and they won 19 games. I'm not impressed. Here's a 4 seed. Here's a 5 seed. This team went 16-6, but they're a D4 team and they played a half a dozen D3 and D2 teams that are really good. Okay, I'm going to give this team a higher seed because they've got a killer non-conference schedule and they took care of business against D4 teams.
Well, if this was the district last year and we didn't have the out of area teams in the district, Poland would probably be the 1 seed because they're the 2 right now. So you have to imagine that our area teams.
I think so.
1.
I think so.
I think if it was just area teams, even though it ended up being Marlington ahead of Salem, I think if it was just area teams voting, you might see Salem jump Marlington in a 2 seed. If it was back to normal districts, because I think maybe a lot of Marlington's voting, and I can't confirm this, but it might have a lot of been the out of area teams that saw their record overall was better than Salem's. They didn't know that Salem beat them already.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of the area teams would have respected that Salem beat Marlington and put them as 2. Marlington would probably stay at 3, and then you probably have West Branch at 4. If it was, that would be the top 4 seeds if it was a district, and instead you got them spread out, and you have multiple teams with an opportunity to get to a regional.
That's why I love this format. Now you've put in some teams from out of the area that are going to really test the teams in the area, and I just think it's a great opportunity, as you mentioned, it's a great opportunity for the kids in our area to get a better chance, even though the product is wider and the product is more impressive. It's broken out into two districts, So you still have a good chance, and I would dare say a better chance at getting a district championship or competing in a district tournament under this format than the previous format.
The cons of the format, of course, is it puts the really low seeds in a bad spot.
Oh, it does.
I mean, there's almost no room to win even a tournament game for your seniors or anything like that because you're a 24 seed and you're playing the 1 seed right off the bat. I mean,
this is an invite to get your program to be better.
And then it's one of those things where the 1 seeds and the 2 seeds in some of these brackets have almost a wide open door right to the district championship.
Sure.
And that's just how it works out. But when you have so many teams putting in for spots, there's only so many places that people can go.
And if I'm one of those teams that's playing the top seed or the 2 seed, I'm going to think outside the box in a way of trying to beat this team. And I'll say it right now. If I have no chance at beating a game or beating this team in a fast-paced game, if I have no chance of beating this team in a half-court game, I'm going to beat this team in a chance that I have a really good opportunity if I get the ball first. And that's stall ball, hanging onto the ball for the entire quarter. And I'm just going to wait for someone to come out and play man. And I'm going to throw safe passes. And I have no interest in shooting the ball until 10 seconds are left in the quarter. If that's the only chance I have, then I'm going to take that.
Oh man, that's funny. I saw Columbiana do that against.
You were there against Salem. At the field house.
Yeah, and I mean it was smart because I think Coach Michella knew against Salem zone he didn't really have a chance.
Yeah.
And he said, I'm not going to let you play zone. And you're going to have to come out and guard me. And it was a battle of wills.
And if you remember,
props to Salem for not teetering and playing into Columbiana's game. And, hey, guess what? They missed a shot before halftime. They didn't score on that possession. And Salem came and rolled them in the second half. So
I broadcast
that can backfire really quick.
I broadcast that game, and let me just say.
What do you say?
I had so much fun doing live commercials on the air while that was going on. Because they were just like, well, there's nothing going on here. So, hey, this game is brought to you in part by da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
That was one of only 2 times where I saw that happen for a whole quarter. The other time was it was Coach Matizzi before he went to South Range. His Lowville team was playing United, and they were hurt. They had like 3 starters down. They were getting beat up in the fourth quarter. And in the fourth quarter, he just sat his team back in a zone and let United hold the ball because United was up by so much. And his fans were not happy about it. They wanted him to fight till the end, but he just realized that I think it was a morale thing for his team. I don't think he wanted his team to get shellacked in the fourth quarter. The game was already lost, so he just said, you know what? He threw up the white flag, and I saw him sit back in his zone for the final quarter. And United obliged. United could have said, you know what, we're going to come at you anyway. Yeah. So props to Coach Mathias, who I believe was the coach at the time, now at Sebring, for obliging in that and holding the ball. They didn't have to. They were up. But, sure. You know, I've only seen the whole quarter a handful of times, and those are the 2 I can remember.
I've seen it where it's done for an entire game. Now, you have to be incredibly patient, and you also have to be rather thick-skinned because there's going to be people that are going to just call you every name under the sun. But
that's
if
the good
it
thing
works,
about COVID,
there you go. And you won't hear these people because they'll have their damn mask on, and that's all right. And look, I mean, if that's the only chance that you have of pulling off an upset, I'm all for it because I'm all about slaying the dragon in the tournament.
That only works if that other team is a zone-oriented team.
No, it works if they play man-to-man. You just play safe. You throw safe passes.
If they like playing press defense up in your face, you're not going to hold on the ball for the whole quarter.
Well, again, you have to get the jump ball.
You're hosed.
Yeah, you have to get the jump ball.
If they like to trap and really press you and play defense up the line and get in your guard's face, you're not holding the ball for the whole quarter.
You're gonna have to work around and throw the ball in a safe pass.
But that's what I'm saying. Like if your girl is trapped and you're the 24 seed for a reason,
I
Are
understand.
you going to deal with that trap?
Well, you're going to have your guards and everyone come to the ball. I mean, now there's a reason why you're the 24th seed. You probably have no idea what to come to the ball means, but you get a crash course in that. No, if that's the only way you get, if that's the only chance you have to win a ball game, I'm all about slaying a dragon in tournaments. That's one of the reasons why I love tournament basketball.
Rod's in there with the Captain America in Avengers Endgame. Whatever it takes, man.
That's it.
Whatever it takes.
Hey, if I have to get ugly in order to win a ball game, all right, UGLY, you ain't got no alibi. You're ugly.
You ugly.
Yeah, you ugly.
Ugly.
330-886-0813, the MPVbo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline, open for business.
Got some other scores from last night to go over.
That was a rhetorical question.
I should have ended it as an awkward inflection.
Jackson Milton getting a victory over Mineral Ridge.
How about AJ Bouch Jr.? Have you seen Jackson Milton play this year?
I have not.
Oh man, this kid in the middle of their offense, he's got to be 6'5" and he's got to be over 200 pounds. I mean, he's just a monster to try to stop AJ Bouch Jr. Oof.
18 last night in the victory.
He gave Springfield. I did their game against Springfield. He gave Springfield all kind of trouble in the inside.
Yeah.
Even with Alex Rothwell, who's a pretty good post for Springfield, but he was tall and lanky, and this kid was built, and it gives a lot of teams problems because a lot of teams don't have a body that can go up against someone like that.
When you have a kid in D4 that is 6'5", and you can utilize him, you have a dangerous weapon.
And a built 6'5", not
Yeah.
a lanky 6'5", that someone can like spin move around.
Yeah.
There's no spin moving around this kid.
Yeah.
You're going to spin right into his abdomen.
Yeah.
The only con I saw in that Jackson Mountain Springfield game was, endurance is a little bit iffy, so you have to bring him out every now and then to give him a minute on the bench. But other than that, I think Jackson Milton's a dangerous team in Division 4.
But like I said, anytime you have a kid 6'5" and he's built where you're not going to be able to push him around in the low post, yeah, you have a weapon. You definitely have a weapon. I mean, think of all the teams in Division 4, all of our local teams. I can't think of anybody that is fitting that description.
No.
I mean, Letonia's tallest kid is Ian Davis, and he's 6'2", maybe 6'3", but he's not built. He's more lanky.
Now Cartino's pretty tall for McDonald, and he's not exactly lanky. He's not AJ Bouch built, but
Yeah.
I think he would be someone that could probably box out a little bit against him. Thinking of other Division 4 teams.
Dill from Western Reserve is a pretty big boy.
Yeah, you're right. And they've played each other, and I don't know how that matchup went, but I think Western Reserve won that game. So we'll see. We're gonna have a Monday that's gonna be real fun next week.
Oh,
because then the boys' brackets are gonna be.
I just think the matchups are going to be interesting to watch, just like in the girls' tournament. If you get a good matchup, I don't care about the records. Mm-hmm. If you get a good matchup, you have an opportunity. You have an opportunity, despite the difference in the records. If you match up well against this team, you have a serious shot. Assuming that you play your game and play your tempo, you have an outstanding chance. That's why I think there's some teams, even though they're not impressing anybody record-wise, there are some teams that if things fall into place and they get the right matchup, they're going to be a very difficult out in the first round.
And that's why we called Latonia in Division 4. They have good matchups. That's why we kind of picked them to go district semis, district championship.
If they can get past East Canton, and I ain't scared of East Canton. I ain't scared of them. Now, first and foremost, you got to get past Middlefield Cardinal.
Right.
I mean, that's number one. That's the only team that they should be concerned with right now. And I have no idea what Middlefield Cardinal brings to the table. Hell, they might wax Letonia and end the season right then and there. But if Letonia can get past Middlefield Cardinal.
It's what, 10 versus 11, isn't
It's
it?
10 versus 11, exactly. So I have no idea.
At least you're making Cardinal come all the way to Latonia.
And that's going to be a great home field advantage. And a part of the great matchups in this Expand Me tournament is this home court advantage Latonia has. A team that is going to be 45 minutes to an hour for the other team to come down. Don't think for a second that's not going to play into the home court advantage.
And how about, we talked about, just that popped into my head, Salem had a game canceled. They picked up Boardman for tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Talent-wise might not match up with Perry, but size-wise and Division I-wise and the teams that Boardman gets to play, that's going to be a great late-season measuring stick a little bit for Salem going into that tournament game on where are we compared to Perry, where are we compared to where we want to be in that district. Because you don't want to start really thinking about Perry until you take care of business, but the other end, you want to have it in the back of your mind, like where you stand, what things you can do against them, and things like that. Because that's Salem's biggest test. They're going to have to beat Perry to get to a district championship.
And you flip the script for Boardman, and we've mentioned this. Boardman's one of those teams I want to avoid.
They're getting a lot better.
Because they are getting a lot better. Well, now let's see just how good this team has improved. If they go out and play Salem really tight, you talk about sending a message to the first couple round opponents.
Louisville, by the way.
Louisville, which is an all YSN tournament game, which we'll absolutely love. You talk about sending a message. If they can play Salem really tough and, dare we say, beat the Quakers, you can look at Boardman and say,
that'd be a big upset.
Yeah. Okay, this team might have it in them to beat Louisville and then go play at Canton McKinley and see what happens. I don't know. I mean, it's one thing we do know is their new coach is bringing this team some toughness, river toughness, which, when you play river mentality basketball, it is a much different brand of basketball than the basketball here in the Valley. It's grittier, it's blue collar, it's tough. You bring your pail when you play a river team. You will find out real quick if a team goes down to East Liverpool or Indian Creek or one of those teams on the river. You will find out real quick they have a different mentality, a different brand of basketball. It's fun to watch. It's blue collar, bring your pail. You're going to be there for a while type of basketball.
Yeah, I'm excited for that game tomorrow, Boardman versus Salem. But we got some fun ones tonight too. We'll preview them later on the show. Who we have tonight, then we'll also preview what we got tomorrow. But
we have golf.
You got golf.
Hold on a second. We have golf coming up next.
Hello, friends.
Hello, friends. We have the tournament in Scottsdale, Arizona. Garbage tournament this week. Yeah, it's the garbage. It's the Garbage Open. Waste Management Phoenix Open is
it's
the
today. Phoenix Open, but it's not in Phoenix. That's a head.
It's in Scottsdale,
I don't know Arizona geography. I don't know how close
it's in the suburbs. To Phoenix. Yeah, it's in the suburbs.
But come on, I mean,
the winter home of the San Francisco Giants.
All right.
Yeah, in Maricopa County, which has a really bad COVID problem right now, which I'm a little surprised they're playing golf this weekend.
Golf is one of those sports that is the easiest to play in COVID. So
yeah, that's
you're
true.
Staying away from each other. There's no problem being 6 feet. I'm guessing there's not going to be spectators
if
they're having that big of a COVID problem.
Yeah, I would hope
not.
So,
I mean, the golfers don't get close to each other. So I think they'll be fine.
Brian Tolnar, who's probably happy that there is snow on the ground insulating his beautiful Mill Creek
Mill Creek golf course.
Ohio
that's happy there's snow on the ground.
Well, I don't know. I mean, the skiers are pretty happy.
Yeah, I'm going to go ski down the hill at Youngstown State University.
I would like to see that.
Put some skis on my
I'd like to see that. I would like to see you do downhill in that chair.
Get me 2 sticks too.
Brian Tolnar is coming up next. We'll be back, and Anthony's going to try to set a record in downhill, paraplegic downhill skiing. Back in a bit.
New things happen all day. Some are good, some not so good. In today's complicated world, while you're busy working, playing, and living life, we're busy helping you make sense of the day's news. And there's only one place where it comes together with clarity, context, and accountability. It's 21 News at 6 with me, Madison Tromler, and Derek Steyer.
21 News at 6. It's what the day's news really means to you.
Welcome home to a home made homier with Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. Inspiration starts at BairdBrothers.com and is turned into reality when high-quality hardwoods are delivered right to your home. Baird Brothers has the latest design trends, shiplap and skinny lap interior siding, antique oak rustic flooring, and, well, you'll find them all at BairdBrothers.com. Ordered easily, delivered conveniently, enjoyed comfortably. BairdBrothers.com.
WRS Wealth Advisors, the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Located on South Avenue in Boardman.
Hi, this is Jim Myers with Myers Family Insurance, your local Medicare and retirement resource. We're excited to have sports back. Whether you're on the field or cheering from the stands, sports unifies communities and brings hope for the future. We're all one team working together. At Myers Family Insurance, we know the importance of a great team.
Our team continues to grow to help you with your Medicare and retirement needs.
The annual election period is October 15th through December 7th. Now's the time to make sure your plan continues to meet your needs for the upcoming year.
Call today.
Hi, I'm Colin Chupa. And I'm Kelsey Clem from K-Squared Marketing. Our boutique marketing firm specializes in media planning and buying, public relations, event marketing strategies, and strategic sponsorships. We can integrate our services with your existing game plan, or we can be your entire marketing team. Your goals, our game plan. Let's win together. Call K-Squared Marketing at 330-623-2730 or visit ksquared.marketing to learn more.
Welcome back to a Wednesday edition of Running Point on ysnlive.com. It's Wednesday. It's early on in the PGA season. Let's talk golf with our golfing guru, Mr. Mill Creek, if you will. Brian Tolnar joining us on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. Brian, Anthony and I were talking before we put you on the air. You're going to be one of the happiest campers in northeastern Ohio right now, as there's plenty of snow underneath the magnificent Mill Creek North and South course. And as we've talked in previous weeks, in the wintertime, you always want to have snow insulating that gorgeous fairway and golf course of yours. So you got to be a happy camper right now.
I'll tell you what, and it couldn't be more timely as well. If you look at the next 10 days, I think the last 7 of the 10 days we have lows at night like at 1, 4, 3, 7 degrees. I think we have about a 3 or 4 day stretch at 1 degree. So, couldn't be more timely. That's when all the disease wants to creep in there. So having that little extra layer of insulation certainly does help. Beyond the 28th of February, I'll be through with it by then because the nights are a lot warmer, and we'll be looking to, play golf a little bit more than just talk about it. So, it's certainly a good time frame for it to come in, to say the least.
Okay, before we start talking about the Waste Management Phoenix Open, the last time we spoke, you were in the process of getting some sales merchandise, the new clothing line, the new golf club line. Let everyone know what is available right now in the pro shop.
Right now, we're still about a week out. We do have product arriving in. We've got carpet scrubbers coming in on Friday. We're hoping to have everything washed down and reset on Monday of next week. However, we did get a shipment of Donald Ross clothing. We have our FootJoy socks are in. Shoes are due to come in by Friday. We have the new Callaway drivers, the Epic Max drivers, and the new Big Bertha driver. We also have the new White Hot putters from Odyssey, and a ton of other cool little items. Wallaroo hats came in. We've got a company called C4 Belts. They're due to come in here by the end of this week, as well as our Bridgestone product, golf balls. and at least half of our Titleist shipment will be there by the end of this week as well. So it's certainly an exciting time, along with some FootJoy footwear due to come in. So, it's nice to be able to have that. And we're hoping to be, our target date's always going to be March the 1st, but, we have it all set up and ready and cleaned and washed down and scrubbed down, which we've got a couple good weeks of a jump ahead of it on right now. So we're ready to go. Hopefully by, middle of next week, end of next week, we'll have some definite opportunities for those who want to stop out and stock up in the month of February with the hopes of playing golf here in March. Yeah, and when you look at the forecasts and the excitement of like you said, we're close to being able to talk about golf in Mill Creek. What are some of the things that the staff at the park and everyone is doing in these last couple months to really be prepared for the opening and everything that's going to come with the reopening of the golf courses? Well, for us, it's just a matter of finalizing our programming, our signage, our flyers and pamphlets and so on down the line that we've got at the printers or at the lion's share up done for the year. We usually try to take the month of November, December, and January to pretty much gear ourselves and prepare ourselves for the following year. When you're doing a schedule, we do it for the entire year. So, end of January, early February, all of our stuff is going to the printers. Like we'll have a golf planner, which has all of our programs, tournaments, camps, clinics, you name it across the board, done for the recreation department and the golf department. So we'll have those sent to the printers. Those will be unleashed online come next Monday, I believe the 7th. And then you'll see a lot of stuff from us on social media, laying out the year with our advertisements and what we want to promote. We have those done, just about, I want to say six days a week. Sometimes in May, June, and July, we have something going out 7 days a week, all pre-programmed in the social media and our Emerge reservation system. So a lot of manual labor, typing everything in, making sure that we can get online registrations all ready and set to go for when the time comes. Now, we're set to open, beginning of the year when the weather breaks. And last year, if you recall, the last week of February was really nice. We opened up the first week of March. So, albeit only 6 days before COVID hit, we shut down for 2 months, but we were back at it come like the 5th or 6th of May, and then we were off and running the rest of the year. So we're hopeful that golf will continue as it closed out the end of the year as soon as the weather breaks. However, our camps, clinics, and ladies' golf schools and men's golf schools and you name it are still on hold, as are the recreation programs. They're going to make a decision on the 12th of April, which is going to be at our board meeting to see if those restrictions get lifted. And if that's the case, we will have every promotional material going out between now and then with the hopes of starting on the 13th, 14th, 15th, somewhere there, and then be able to go from there. Last year our boathouses were closed all year, so we're looking forward to get those open. The concerts were shut down for the season because they're mass gathering events. So, there's a lot of things that we've really had to jump through hoops to get lined up, and our concert series lined up down at the Morley. So there's a lot of work that's entailed between, the 3 or 4 full-time staff that we have during the course of the winter, laying all of those out. Boathouses is one thing, and we have 2 of them with Newport and Glacier, and then running the par 3 course, making sure that the batting cages get up, the programming aspects of those, and then we've got a building construction project, which we're going to redo our warming house that used to be outside the ice skating rink. We're going to change that into an indoor recreation facility. We'll have some rental options. We'll be able to do some 12-month programming. We'll have some seating and some restrooms and some locker rooms in there for the deck hockey. And then, when you do get snow like we got this past week and you've got, 300-plus kids on the snow hill, giving them somewhere to come inside to buy some hot chocolate and some snacks and stuff. We'll have a little kitchen and everything set up back in there when that building gets done. So if everything works, as planned, we're meeting with the architects next week, which will be our final walkthrough. We'll transition the rec department into a mobile office unit. So we'll be clearing that property out for it to start construction, hopefully here, with the bids being awarded at the March board meeting. And then we're looking at about 180 days. If it's like our project we just finished with our maintenance building, it was about November time frame before it got reopened with the occupancy permit and so on down the line. So, being able to have that set up for the winter for this fall, and getting the splash pad open, which we didn't get open at all last year, due to COVID, and being able to run some in-house leagues, which we've never done historically at the park, which is one of the reasons why we sort of amped up our recreation department and brought on some full-time and part-time staff to get those going. So, we're in the hiring process for some of the part-timers right now, and you'll see some stuff from us with our seasonal employees coming out here within the next 2 weeks. By the time we get interviews done and background checks, you're looking at March 1st, March 15th, and then you could be open that early. So, it's all about being prepared this time of year. It's very active, very busy. A lot of people are like, what do you guys do with the golf course over the winter? It's, the reason that we've had success in the short term is all the preparation that you put in the off season. The meetings, doing the online education through the winter time, and we just wrapped up PGA Show Week last week, all done virtual, which was interesting. But to know all the products that you're going to carry, the ins and the outs, and the availability and stuff is very important when you're trying to sell it through the course of the year. So we try to do a lot of those things. Not just at golf, but with the recreation. And I could speak for the other departments. They are super busy, whether they're working at home or whether they're working on their programming for their departments. It's pretty much in the same boat. We try to do as much as we can in the off season, which makes our life a lot easier. Come when all the tournaments and the outings are back and the golf leagues are pumping in high gear.
Brian Tilnar, our guest on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. Brian, when you got your cart paths redone, in the summertime, we were talking about how special this was going to be for the golfers, but we also had one eye on the wintertime because, well, you clean those off, and it's a great walking path for those that wanted to walk the grounds of Mill Creek. Weather has been reasonably warm for this area where walkers really have not been handicapped in terms of staying at home because the weather's too cold. What is the response been in terms of people walking the golf course using the brand new walking cart paths?
I'll tell you what, it's been actually pretty neat. Probably one of the first years we've been really able to advertise it and really promote it, put it out there. Obviously when COVID hit the beginning of the year, our walking trail was probably overused. They had so many people on it walking. So to give the folks another option, during the first 2 months that we were closed, we also allowed them to walk on what we had currently existing there. But then to be able to have that construction project completed in October, November, knowing that the fall was going to be nice, and once the zone slowed down, to give the folks in Mahoning Valley the opportunity to hike and bike and walk and walk their dogs and stuff around the golf course and jog through, the response has been huge. I mean, we're any day between 60 and 80 cars there at one given time, and especially when it gets closer to the evening and some of the folks get done with work at like 4 or 5 o'clock, there is a little bit of daylight and a little bit of time where you can buzz around and walk, whether it be 9 or 18 holes, depending upon how fast that you walk. The parking lot in the evenings just as busy as it is all throughout the course of the day, and the weekends are another story. It looks like we're open for golf. So, I mean, it's been great giving the folks an opportunity, and then, the snowfall this week has really opened it up. We've got probably 30 or 40 people cross-country skiing on the golf course throughout this past week on a daily basis from what I've seen when we were there. And we have some folks snowshoeing and some folks hiking, and it's nice to see that activity, and there's probably 100 dogs out there with people walking them on a leash, through the course of the evenings and the day. So it's nice to be able to see that too. But just to give the people the opportunity that may not play golf, it's another venue. It mixes up, the walking trails or the bikeway a little bit by giving some folks some opportunity to be able to walk. And, it's nice for us at the golf end of it, because if you are a golfer, if you play somewhere else, to see some of the progress that we've made with the bunker restoration on both the north and the south, the greens drainage, the whole signage, the new benches. It's been a work in progress for the last 6 years. I'm on my 7th year. It's something that we sort of hang our hat on, and are blessed to have a board that's excited to get into the capital improvement ends and see that we needed a little TLC and back what we've been doing, and our financial success has certainly been a result of that too. If you look at our facility, you look at it like an old beat-up car. The beat-up car may only have 70,000 miles on it, but you throw a new pair of tires and you get it another paint job and clean it up a little bit. It's still that historical vehicle that has a lot of longevity to it, and the golf course is no different.
Well, that being said, I mean, this is a completely off the rail question, but you just brought up, what's your go-to if you had a dream vintage car to have in your garage? What are some of the cars that you look at in the vintage sense that you want to put in your garage?
You know what? I haven't really thought about it. We get some stuff at auctions, and they're used, and cars have not been something that I've paid much attention. They're like a house or a car. You live there. It's a force to get you to and from. I guess if I had piles of money laying around, I don't know what I would get. I mean, I really don't. I've got some friends that collect old cars and have Model Ts and you name it, but Hudsons and all of that. But I mean, I've never really thought about it because it's never something that I've really thought about. If I was going to spend some money, I probably wouldn't spend it there. But I don't know. That's a good question. Either a Benz or something. I don't know. I really haven't thought about it.
I got no problem saying this because it's my dream car, 65 or 66 Mustang convertible.
And he brought up the analogy, and he didn't have one ready.
Well, I don't know.
Brian, that's no fun. But back to my.
Well, hang on a second. You teed something up. He put it in the forest. That's a penalty stroke.
Back to my golf question, and one of the things I've always wondered about ever since we started this, I've always wanted to ask, but in the area or in Mill Creek or even with the PGA in a national scope, are there avenues where they are trying to get ways where Americans with disabilities can get out on the golf course if they're physically able to and if they want to? Are there programs set up in the PGA or in the area like that can help with people with disabilities that want to get out on the golf course?
Oh, 100%, absolutely. And it's something that we started back in, I want to say around 2002 when I was in the Western New York PGA section out of Rochester. Both myself and Stacy and Andy Santor, who was with us up until a couple years ago, have all gotten certified for ADA golf instruction through PGA Hope and PGA America. They do have a program that's available, absolutely. No matter what your disability, it's absolutely a venue for you, and it's a good stress relief for you, the programs. We had one set for the fall of 19 and didn't get too many folks signed up for it. And we had one on the calendar for last year. We'll probably put something on the calendar this year. And we also do some stuff with PGA Hope is divided into a couple different adaptive learning, if you will, for the handicap. And they also do a division for the military, for the veterans. I know a good friend of mine, Renee Powell, up in North Canton, does a lot with her PGA Hope program for the veterans and the VA clinics, and it's something that we've had some discussions with the local here. Unfortunately, they were while the construction of their new building was going on, so I imagine that something will spring from that as we come forward. We do a ton with tennis and softball and baseball and deck hockey and soccer up at the Wick Recreation area, and we've started those programs, I want to say about a year or two ago. We also have tennis that's part of that program as well. And obviously, looking to piece in that link for golf. I mean, there's many options, when push comes to shove, that we're involved in or trained in and ready to go. Like I said, I've got training, dating back to almost 2000 with the Western New York section. It's something that I keep up to date on every year. 2 years ago, brought the staff down to Columbus, and we had a lady teach us in a class of about 20 golf professionals, all of it. And, basically they would set you up, and whatever the handicap was, that's how you had to demonstrate all of the different teaching methods and, the things that, if you're, require a wheelchair, this is the limitations, this is how you get around it. If you're blind, this is the limitations, this is how you get around it. If you have one arm, one leg, and, the whole 9 yards. Very intriguing program, very in-depth. I mean, all the classes that I've taken are, usually over the course of a day to 3 days, and they're 8 to 10 hours a day. And, the notes that we come back with as a golf professional and how we teach and how we communicate and, garner space. I mean, just for example, with veterans and PTSD, they're very cognizant of you as a golf professional being in their space to where they feel comfortable. So, I mean, there's a lot of terminology and a lot of things that, we look for to make their transition into the game very comfortable. And they host a number of tournaments throughout the course of the United States. There's some really unique stuff that goes on with adaptive golf. And, it's something that we've dabbled our feet with here. And it's just a matter of turning the corner and getting a year without COVID to really launch what we want to get off the ground. But, partnerships, with the PGA of America, with the VAs, locally, I think is going to be the next step in how we advance what we want to do. And I think it's something that's, definitely on the radar and, something that, hey, we're a game for everybody. And, we can make and build your clubs, build for you and build for whatever the circumstances may be. So it's exciting for me to be able to teach that, probably one of the most rewarding classes and certifications I've ever gone through. So, I mean, it really gives you an appreciation with what some of the folks have to deal with and accessibility and the whole 9 yards. So, it's a great program from the PGA's perspective, and it's one that, like I said, we've been a part of for a number of years, and myself personally for about 18, 19 years now.
Well, I want to thank you from me and from everyone in the disabled community. And if you ever need help kind of marketing that program to maybe the MRDD or things like that, you let me know, and we'll be happy to work with you.
Absolutely, because it's definitely an avenue that like I said, we've gone down with other sports. We've gotten our feet wet with it. Now just each year we want to be able to add another sport or another opportunity or another series of weeks and classes and instruction and so on down the line. So absolutely, we'll definitely be reaching out.
Brian Tolnar, our guest. Brian, the PGA makes a stop in the Phoenix suburb of Scottsdale in Maricopa County, where Maricopa County has a problem with COVID. I know Major League Baseball was approached by Maricopa County saying, hey, you guys may want to start spring training a little later. We got a problem with COVID in our county. The union said, yeah, that's not going to happen. So they're gonna go as scheduled. I'm a little surprised that the PGA is going on as scheduled, doing the Waste Management Phoenix Open this weekend, knowing that Maricopa County does have a bit of a COVID problem right now.
Yeah, that's certainly a good question. And if you have the past history with the Phoenix Open, the Waste Management Phoenix Open, it's an event that's been there for, I want to say this is the 89th or 90th year, so it's been around for a very long time on the PGA Tour. It goes back to being one of the original events. And the attendance down there from a fan's perspective, they hold just about every record across the board. I mean, if you look at it, single day, over 200,000 in one day at 201,003 a couple years ago, and their event tally is about almost 200,000 more than they get at a PGA Tour, and at over 618,000 for the course of the 4-day event. So, having known the circumstances and the party that goes on the 16th hole, the par 3 there, and the stadium or coliseum as they call it, that's built around, it basically looks like a football stadium around the par 3, 160-yard par 3 hole to finish up with all the fans. However, fans, from a fan's perspective, they've had basically family up until this point. However, the state of Arizona is allowing them to have 5,000 fans per day maximum. So you're going to have 20,000 fans this week, which, to my knowledge, no PGA Tour event other than having family and the folks that travel with you to each tour event are the only ones that have access to get in there. You do see some people on television, but it's, very, very few. I'm actually kind of shocked that they're allowing that many fans, in there at a PGA Tour event this week. Next week when they go to the AT&T Pebble Beach, there's going to be no fans. They've already announced that, I want to say about a week or two ago. The Pro-Am at AT&T at Pebble Beach in California. So, it comes down to whatever your health officials in each state allow you to do and go through from that standpoint. And to be honest with you, I'm kind of shocked. I figured you'd probably see some fans out there come Masters, probably at a limited amount, and then come June or July, I think we'd be back out to where we need to be, because I think you've got enough, days or months under your belt for the vaccination to where people feel comfortable and they could start, lifting some of the restrictions. But I am kind of shocked that they're allowing 20,000 fans this week. But, couldn't come to a better venue. TPC of Scottsdale playing a $7.3 million purse this week. It's a 36-hole facility. They're going to be using the stadium course. It measures about 7,300 yards. It is a par 71. Always an event that parallels the Super Bowl. Obviously, Super Bowl Sunday. The golf will end just a hair shy of the kickoff of the Super Bowl. So it's a great lead-in for the game of golf to get the folks pumped up. And you see a lot of advertisements with the new equipment since the PGA show wrapped up over the course of February and March. So it's an exciting time for golf and us in the golf industry. And then, basically it's a Tom Weiskopf design. It's about 1,500 miles above sea levels, which means the golf ball is going to fly a little bit further. So when you hit that 9-iron, it's really going to be a pitching wedge or sand wedge. So it's about 1 or 2 clubs shorter, about 7% less. The course record this week is Phil Mickelson with 60, and he shares the tournament record with Mark Calcavecchio at 28 under par. Defending champion is Webb Simpson, and I expect probably the scores to be around that 18 to 20 under par, come Sunday just before the Super Bowl kicks off.
All right, you've told us about the course. Now it's time to go into your, historic Power 5 rankings for this week, and who you got.
Well, no Kokrak this week and no Phil Mickelson this week, which is normally a staple on his schedule, although he's struggling a little bit. I think from Kokrak's standpoint, I think he'll probably return maybe at the AT&T, but definitely at the Genesis the week after, because he has a great history of playing well there. Mickelson, I think, is set to return at the AT&T. So, with those players being out, I'll start with our sleepers this week. The first one's going to be Ches Reavie. He's a home game for him, from the Phoenix, Scottsdale area. Ryan Palmer, I think, is another one of those sleepers this week. He's got a couple runner-ups down there. He finished 9 under last week to finish runner-up behind Patrick Reed. So I think he's going to be one of those guys that you'll see sneaking around the chicken coop. Starting out at number 5, I'm going to go with Justin Thomas. This is the second week in a row he's played on the PGA Tour. The more he plays, the better he gets, the more he wins. So he's rounding out our top 5 at number 5. Number 4, another home game type of a guy, John Rahm. Went to school at Arizona State. He knows a lot about the golf course. They played there quite a bit, so I expect him to be in that top 3, top 2 come weekend then on Sunday. And then number 3, our defending champion, Webb Simpson. He had a great 2020, and obviously the defending champion there. I think he's got some runner-up finishes down there as well. Ricky Fowler is going to come in at number 2, another past champion, plays well in the desert. Doesn't really hit it far, but he gets an extra probably 15, 20 yards with the elevation change this week, puts him in the mix. And my pick for the champion this week is going to be a 2-time champion and a 1 or 2-time runner-up, Hideki Matsuyama. Won there back-to-back a couple years ago and finished runner-up a couple years ago. So in the year that he didn't win, so I think those are going to be some of the guys that you see coming out of the gate this weekend, and it's a great kickoff to the Super Bowl.
Ron pointed to me, which means I think he needs more time to make a selection.
Oh, no, I got my selection, but I want to hear yours.
I hate to cherry pick off of Brian, but I'm going to go with one of his sleepers. I think I really like Ryan Palmer this week, and I like what he brings to the table, and I think he's going to be one of those guys that sneaks into contention at least, and if you sneak into contention, you have every opportunity to win, so I'm going to pick him.
All right, I'm taking your number 4 in John Rahm. I love the fact he comes back home, Arizona State guy. He's done really, really well on this golf course. But the guy I honestly think is going to be a sleeper and is going to be heard from on Sunday, which means he'll probably get cut on Friday afternoon. Rory Mcilroy, I think, is due to have a really good weekend.
I'll tell you what, I like your John Rahm pick. He'll definitely have the Arizona State football jersey on playing hole 16, as most of those guys do. They wear the football jersey of their alumni. And then Rory's kind of an up and down pick, and the reason I say that is this is going to be the first time he's ever played down in Phoenix, so it's going to be new for him. However, he did play well the past couple weeks, so he's got some momentum going in. So you never know. Sometimes the first time you see a course, you like it, you play well, and other times you need a little bit of past history and some experience on it. So he's definitely a 50-50 shot.
All right, I got to ask, because I've never been to Scottsdale. My ex lives in Scottsdale, probably a good reason why I'm not going to be in Scottsdale, but neither here nor there. That golf course, you watch the PGA Tour when they're at the TPC at Scottsdale. That is an absolutely gorgeous golf course. And the fact that the weather is damn near perfect in Arizona this time of year, is that one of the premier places on the golf course other than Pebble Beach and a couple of other non-major courses?
I'll tell you what, I would say it is, and the reason I say that is, I mean, any time that you've lasted, 89 or 90 years on the PGA Tour, you're doing something right, and there's a reason that the folks want to come back to your community. I think between, the facility that's there, the Thunderbirds that run the event, who have been synonymous with the Phoenix Open since day one. Before, I think it used to be called the Arizona Open. So it's an event that's been there. However, it's changed names, like every event changes names. But, they always tend to go and stick around that Phoenix area. Phoenix Country Club, which is a Donald Ross. Fun fact, Alice Cooper is a member there. He came up and played our place, a couple times over the past, 2 years when he's been in town looking at sites. Likes Donald Ross old traditional facilities, but like facilities like ours, they're very short in comparison to how those folks play. So when TPC at Scottsdale was built, obviously length, was going to be an advantage for them and longevity of hosting a PGA Tour event. But, you got to like Phoenix this time of year. If I'm looking at a tee time sheet as a player, I want to go between that 11 and 1 o'clock range because it's a little cool in the morning still, and it does get a little cool at dusk, when that sun sets in the desert. It's a dry air cool, which is kind of crazy, just like it is a dry air heat when it's 110 degrees when you're out there. Not very humid, but it's a little bit chillier in the morning, a little bit chillier in the evening. So if I'm a player, I want one of those middle tee times. And, if you look at, where the tee times are set between 9, I think it's either 9 or 9:30 and I think 3:30, you're going to have a pretty decent draw, and weather seems to be always nice out there. I think they had one snow hailstorm there in 1989 or 1990 that the guys were playing through hail on a couple holes, but I mean for the most part it's beautiful. It's 78 to 82 degrees every single day, and the sun's going to be up all day every day, so it's a huge advantage. And I think it's one of those reasons why the PGA Tour continues to go back there, and that community's been very supportive. I mean, any time that you get 20,000 plus people on one hole alone, that 16th hole, the par 3, and the party that they throw out there, means a lot. And the attendance being over 600,000 is just phenomenal when you're talking about a PGA Tour event over the course of a 4-day period. So, I mean, it's spectacular at this time of year.
Anthony and I have always talked about ways to improve the game and get the kids involved. And, you and I talked a little bit about this off the air. Waste Management has been hosting as the corporate sponsor of the Phoenix Open for quite some time now. I mean, if you want to build the youth into this, the perfect opportunity is to go grab Oscar the Grouch from Sesame Street, put a golf club in his hand, and let him shoot the ceremonial first tee shot. I think it would be phenomenal.
As long as he throws jabs at the golfer behind him, like Oscar the Grouch definitely would. And,
absolutely.
And hides from the cameras and has his.
He has to hide in the can of his. Yeah, absolutely.
So, and as
and,
long as
and the good news is, from Waste Management standpoint, he's green too. So
if we can't get Frank Haas, we can't do it though, because there's no one that does Oscar the Grouch like Frank Haas. So.
Well, there you go. Yeah, I just think it would be a phenomenal idea if they got Oscar the Grouch somehow dressed up in the green Waste Management and get a club in his hand and shoot a golf ball. I think it would be hilarious.
That's why Ron, the master of marketing, right there.
Right up there with Bill Vick,
I like
10-cent beer night at the stadium.
Oh, there you go.
Hey, as we joke about a lot of things, the last year when we had you on, all the tips that we were talking about, the incredible tips that you gave, we're somewhat serious about the book form or a small pamphlet form.
We're serious.
How is that coming, if that is coming?
You know what? We're starting to work on our program guide for how we teach our ladies' schools and our junior camps. I'm laying some of that out on a small basis, but I think a collection of all of those are a little bit of about everything that we've done on a weekly basis all through 2020. I think putting those in a manuscript of some form, I think, is definitely on the horizon here for, if not the first quarter, the second quarter of the year.
I love it. I think it's absolutely one of the ideas to have, and once again, marketing. It puts you right up there. You can show off your partnership with us at YSN, and we'll we got to have a running point live at Mill Creek Park during the season.
Oh, that's a gimme.
Oh, I'm down for it. Get you guys on the range set up down there.
Much like a ball that's 10 feet from the cup. That's a gimme.
Ron can set up at the range where people can hit golf balls at Ron, because that will really sell the driving range. He makes them.
Well, I could probably drive where, in that armored vehicle where nobody can hit you in the head with a golf ball. And I can scoop up some golf balls, hurl insults at people, and just get drilled with a bunch of balls. I think it would be hilarious.
Well, when we do this, we've got some unique stuff. We bought a bunch of stuff to get into schools in elementary and middle schools from the Mahoning County, and then proposed to branch out. Well, we started on it, and COVID obviously shut us down in March. We had like 2 more to go. And what we're trying to do is get kids involved in the game early. Back when I played, basically you didn't start getting into golf until you're 13, 14, 15 years old. By that time, kids have already settled on baseball and soccer and everything else. So our goal is to get the golfers at an earlier age. So one of the things that we did is we bought a bunch of inflatables. We have these, it's called short golf and snag golf. Basically, it's an oversized club. It's a shorter club. And you get to hit these tennis balls. With these inflatables, we have like big bullseyes. We can do some prizes with those. We have a flop wall that, if you watch the show Big Break on the Golf Channel, where you got to hit it over, how Mickelson hits those high flop shots over people. We have a wall that we built for our junior camps and clinics. There's a bunch of neat stuff that we could do with some contests and some things, when that time comes. But I would love to have you guys out on the range. I think it'd be a lot of fun.
I truly believe this would work. Get me in a dunk tank. Now, not one of those things where you throw something at the target. No, you got to hit it. You got to hit a golf ball off that target in order for me to get off my perch and into the water. Now, the only thing is, you'd have to have it completely encaged. Otherwise, some smart ass is going to shank one and pop me in the forehead. Not that I need another hole in my head. I got enough of them.
And this is what the game's all about. It's all about having fun. It's all about having unique games and opportunities. And being able to do something like this is why I got involved with the game of golf, because it's been a lot of fun for me through the course of my life. Yeah, it's a serious game, and it's very tough, very demanding, and it beats you up. But on the same token, our teaching has changed to the point where we want to make the game fun, whether it's through exercise or fitness or just being able to practice better. We want the game to be fun for everybody, and this would be certainly one of those items on that list to make our camps and clinics and the things that we do, have some interest and have some fun and have you talking about Mill Creek and everything that comes along with it. It gets people back, time and time again, which is what we're trying to do. I
think this is a YSN outing.
Oh, yeah.
I think this is a YSN outing. Have the kids take part in or the adults take part in, in all the fun stuff.
I think we should put Betos out there and have them run through the obstacle course.
Oh, yeah, Betos in an obstacle course. I'd pay to see that. I'd absolutely pay to see that.
No, there's some fun stuff, and I'd be definitely down for doing something that encompasses all that, gives people opportunity, because that's what we're all about.
There you go. Well, I look forward to putting a plan together for a weekend in the summertime. I think this would be an awful lot of fun. All right, so we will get you on every 2 weeks until Late February. Then we're hooking you up every Wednesday. Correct, sir?
Yep, absolutely. And by that time, Augusta will be around, and we'll be ready to rock and roll again.
There you go. All right, we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Hopefully, well, actually, we may want to get you on next week because the Pebble Beach Pro-Am is on, and we really, I always like talking about that, and basically, I love that course. And I've said this. Maybe let me ask you because, all right, I love Augusta, but everyone talks about how great Augusta is, and I'm like, let me remind everyone, there's a better golf course in Northern California named Pebble Beach. I truly believe Pebble Beach is the best course in America, other than Mill Creek, of course.
It's pretty solid for a mere $525. You can play 18 holes there. However, you also need to get a cart. That's going to be $40. So you're looking at $565, and if you don't take a cart, you have to take a caddy. It's mandatory, and that would cost you another $100. So I mean, to look at $685 or $665, that's a pretty steep ticket for 18 holes. However, I did hear this. I had some folks that played out there that said the front 9, up until you get to hole 7 or 8, wherever the par 3 is down the hill, 8 and 9 or 8 and 9, I believe, or 7 and 8, one of the two, the par 3 that goes down the hill. They said that those holes are very picturesque, and obviously 16, 17, 18, the holes that we get to see on television. But they say the rest of the holes are inland, and they're just the same as everybody else's golf course. They're kind of back and forth, up and down. You're in the homes and you're into the resort properties and stuff. So the holes that have the feel are the 6 or 8 holes that they have on the water. So I don't know. I got mixed reviews on it. I do love watching that tournament. It's one of my favorite tournaments to watch. Going back to the history with Bing Crosby and him bringing celebrities into the game, and to be able to watch Tom Brady and Bill Belichick and all of those folks be able to play, and Nick Saban and you name it, from the Ray Romanos to everybody that you see on TV, to be able to see that. Jack Lemmon played in it for about 40-some years and only made the cut there once, and Clint Eastwood. It's got a unique twist to it. There's no doubt about it. For me, that's when my golf season kicks off. So it's kind of a week or two out from starting here. Obviously being 2 weeks away, and you're on the downslope to being able to start playing golf here again. So you get more interested in it. I think what CBS has done with the television's been spectacular there too. Jim Nantz is there, and they've sort of shaken up their golf media team, so it's going to be a little bit different this year. But I mean, they've always done a nice job presenting it in the history of the tournament. But for me, having been on the grounds at Augusta several times and have obviously not played it, it looks unbelievably impossible to play. You got to be precise at Augusta. My pick would be a course in New Jersey, Philadelphia called Pine Valley. And if you get a chance to look up Pine Valley, there's some great YouTube videos on it, and it's spectacular. It's like the unknown, quiet number 1 or number 2 in the world, actually, built by Alistair McKenzie and George Cobb. So I mean, there's some great history there, and I want to say it's a men's club. It's very non-ritzy. Clubhouse is very small. The guys are just there to play golf, come in, and basically go home. I mean, there's not big ballrooms, there's not weddings being hosted there, there's none of that stuff like you would see at a traditional country club. But those are definitely in my top 5. Pebble Beach obviously is in there, and Augusta's in there. Pine Valley is my all-time. If I ever had the opportunity to go there and play, I was told once, if you get invited to go there, doesn't matter what you're doing, drop what you're doing and go. Augusta would be similar to that. Been fortunate to play a lot of good courses, the Firestones and, the stuff that you take for granted, and had opportunities to get on and play a number of times, and Oak Hill and Marion, and, there's a myriad of places all over the country that are just solid. But those are probably in my top 3, definitely in my top 5.
Well, the good news financially for me is I won't need a golf cart. I'm already on wheels, so that'll save me for it.
Oh man,
that was good.
No, it's a different world. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And to have the opportunity to be able to play, I mean, you definitely would play any of those. But yeah, do some research, look up Pine Valley, and tell me what you think. It is brutal. It's one of the first episodes of the Shell's Wonderful World of Golf. Very tough golf course. I think 74 ended up winning it. I think Byron Nelson and Gene Littler. I think Gene Littler shot like 78 or 79, made like an 8 or 9 on a par 3. It was like 260 straight uphill, and you either hit the green or you're like off the planet. Gene Littler blocked it right and was off the planet. It took him like 7 or 8 to get on the green from there. I think he did one putt it for like an 8 or a 9, but it was. If you get a chance to watch that, and, there's a hole there. I think it's number 10 that has a bunker that's called a name that I can't say on air, but it's worth just listening to the guys describe it and the history that's there. I think Golf Digest or Golf Week has a flyover, and there's like a 15 or 20 minute segment on YouTube. But if you get a chance to watch it, it's kind of cool.
Brian, always a pleasure, sir. We look forward to catching up with you soon.
You got it. Have a great week, guys. Thank you.
All right. See ya. Brian Tolnar from Mill Creek. Pine Valley.
You know your course is tough when there's a bunker that's nicknamed a name that we can't even say on the air.
Yeah. That's...
okay.
I mean, I'm already bad at golf. If I went to Pine Valley, I'd probably shoot well over 100 for 18 holes. And that would just want me to stop playing golf.
You'd be a smoker by the 10th hole. You'd just be like, I am so stressed right now.
Yeah, so what the hell? Why am I doing this? Yeah. I mean, I would just as soon rather golf in Pebble Beach. Now, granted, I don't have that amount of money hanging around. But if I had $1,000 to spend, I'd go out there and do that. If you
go get 5 corporate sponsors for YSN, you'll have enough money to go get around at Pebble Beach. So
yeah, there you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
Get on the phone, Ron.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, of course, you got to still find your way out there because it's in California.
Maybe 6 corporate sponsors.
Rob Schmidt will be chiming in on the MP Vivo heating and air conditioning hotline in about 15 minutes. We'll talk YSU basketball as the Penguins are going to be
struggling.
Yeah, their final road game in the regular season, and it's not much of a road game. They're going to be going into Pittsburgh or our side of Pittsburgh. It's like 50 minutes away, if that. In Coriopolis, they'll take on Robert Morris. Speaking of which. Our boy Richie Giuliano, he broadcast the 2 games, and they lose on Friday.
They split, so he redeemed himself.
Well, I mean, the winning streak got snapped on his watch. I'm just saying, it's the YSU women are home this weekend,
right?
So that'll be fun.
Dre's back, right?
I believe he is back.
We'll talk to him tomorrow, and we'll see how much he puts on Richie. Because that's the big thing. How much?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's he's the guy that's doing the radio.
He'll give you the keys.
Yeah.
So
he gave him the keys, and
Richie crashed the car like a after school special and tried to hide it from his parents.
Wow!
And then,
I didn't throw him under the bus that much. Well, good Lord! You and your backhanded compliments, my Lord.
Richie knows we love him here.
He redeemed himself on Saturday.
He did. He got the car back in pristine shape.
I mean, it had nothing to do with the fact that, Robert Morris was the better team on Friday. We're all going to blame the broadcaster.
Absolutely.
It's kind of like the broadcaster that says no-hitter, and then the no-hitter's gone.
I bet Richie said at the top of the broadcast, there's no way YSU loses this game.
Oh, Lord.
He did it.
Yeah.
He did it.
I wonder if he would have pulled a Jim Rooker and YSU jumps out to this huge lead. If these guys lose this game, I'm walking home. Do you ever hear the story of Jim Rooker, what he did? Pittsburgh's playing Philadelphia. This was when Rooker was still doing games for the Pirates before he was let go. And he and Lanny Fortieri were doing TV that night. And I'll never forget this. The Phillies the Pirates jump out to an 8 or a 9 run lead in the second inning. And I mean they bombed their starting pitcher. And he's out of the ball game, and they got an 8 or a 9 run lead. And Jim Rooker says on the air, if the Pirates lose this game, I am walking home. And it was the last game of the series at the old Veterans Stadium. And sure enough, the Phillies come back and they win the game. So naturally, everyone is going back to the comment that Rooker made. And after the season was over, I give Rook all the credit in the world. After the season was over, he turned this into a positive, got a bunch of people to sponsor him, and he walked from Philadelphia to Pittsburgh and made a ridiculous amount of money for the charity group that he was doing this for. Made a ridiculous amount of money. Now, not nearly as bad a story as the late, great Bob Prince.
Oh, geez.
It was on a Sunday afternoon. Pirates are on the West Coast. I think they're in either San Francisco or Los Angeles. This was back in the Stargell era. So Stargell is batting, and for everyone that's a Pirates fan knows that Willie also had an interest in a chicken restaurant, the Chicken on the Hill. He was very much involved as a co-owner or a person who was heavily invested in this restaurant. And Bob Prince says on the air, if Stargell hits a home run, I'm buying chicken at Chicken on the Hill. Stargell hits a bomb over the right field wall. So he gets this home run. Pirates are off the road trip, and they come back to Pittsburgh, and the manager at Chicken on the Hill gives Bob Prince a $12,000 bill saying, you owe us this amount of money. Everyone and their brother was listening to the game, and everyone and their brother came to the restaurant, and everyone and their brother bought chicken. You owe us $12,000.
That one got me.
Yeah, that is a true story. That is an absolute true story.
It was perfect timing because you made me giggle right as the Mountain Dew was going down the throat.
Ah, sorry.
And that is hard to come back from, Ron.
Yeah, my apologies. No, that's a true story. One of a number of Bob Prince stories that was made him an interesting broadcaster. But that's $12,000. He owed the Chicken on the Hill restaurant $12,000 after that stunt.
$12,000.
Yeah, $12,000. First of all, who eats $12,000 worth of chicken? Good God! So but he paid it. He paid it, and a lesson learned. You don't say anything like that. Now, I unfortunately took a page from Rooker's playbook. I think it was in Birmingham, which is 5-hour bus ride from Jackson, Tennessee to Birmingham, Alabama. We jumped all over their starter. We're up 9 or 10 runs. And sure enough, I did a Rooker. I said, if the Diamond Jacks lose this game, I will walk home from Birmingham. Immediately, my email was just flooded with people saying, go Barons. I want to see you shag your fat ass back home to Jackson, Tennessee.
Did they blow it?
They almost did. They had the tying run at second, the winning run at first with 2 outs in the 9th inning, but the closer struck out the batter, and I kind of said, and I've been spared a long walk home that I would have done in the off season. But that was scary. That was the last time I ever done something like that. Didn't ever want to pull that stunt again. But that was back in the young and dumb days. All right, 330-886-0813.
I won't be saying anything like that on YSN's broadcast because I ain't walking home.
No,
there's no way.
Well, I mean,
I'm not gonna wheel myself home. I should say.
Well, you've got a little automatic thing there that you can push a button and
the battery lasts like 2 miles. And then I'd be really. I mean, unless it was a game like at Boardman High School, I live right down the street from. Don't be coming to my house looking for Anthony Hurt.
Yeah. Well, we didn't give your address.
Now it narrows it down a little bit.
I mean, it only narrows it down to about 100 square miles. Yeah.
But anyway, I ain't wheeling home unless it's Boardman. So I might say it in a Boardman game.
Yeah.
But
but then how many people would you tick off if you did that?
A lot.
Exactly. That's why you can only do it if they're playing an out of town team.
Right.
Yeah.
So I still wouldn't do it.
There's no way
I'm
I would do it.
I'm not taking that chance.
Even if I'm doing it at Leetsonia, I'd never do that. I mean, like, hell no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to walk. I'm not going to walk all the way back. You know, in my 30s, yeah, no problem. Not now.
I believe in the broadcasters jinx a little bit more than my partner Ron does. I don't
buy the whole no-hitter bull crap.
I do not say a no-hitter before it's a no-hitter.
Nah, see, that's garbage.
I don't do it.
No.
It's out of respect of
it's
it's protocol.
I'm sorry, that's garbage.
I follow the rules.
It's yeah, okay, even though it has happened on more than one occasion. Rob and I'll give a great example. Last week, Rob and I were talking about missed free throws and this team is 8 of 8 from the free throw line. Doink, off the back of the iron. Okay,
that's the broadcaster jinx right there.
But you knock on wood and everything is taken care of.
We don't always have wood right next to us. I know you do because you can just do this.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. It's fortunately I didn't have the split screen on at that time where people didn't catch the insults. Go ahead and do it again.
I said you could do this, so you're good.
A lot of wood up here.
Blockhead.
Yeah, a lot of wood up in the Blockhead district. No question about that. No, the table that you're on is wood.
Yeah, right now.
So you knock on wood.
But most of the schools don't give us a wood table.
Well,
I'll be knocking on. I don't even know what you call the.
Well, if we're near a bench, we can knock on the bench.
Hold on, I'm gonna run. All right, we're good.
No, I don't buy into the whole jinx stuff. I mean, it's a lot of superstitious people. I don't buy into that stuff. But But you would be surprised how many people would be pissed at me if I said, such and such has a no-hitter going through 6 innings. I would get people pissed at me. I mean, like, why would you say something like that? Because I don't have anything to do with the guy that's throwing the no-hitter. I mean, I'm just saying, I'm just reporting what's going on. The guy's thrown 6 no-hit innings. I'm not doing anything wrong. All I'm doing is accurately reporting.
People in the dugout, you don't touch them, you don't walk up to him, you don't talk to him until he's done with that no-hit.
Well, you don't touch Adrian Beltre's head. I found that out the hard way.
What, you touched his head?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that's that story for after the break.
That's no. You don't touch that boy's head. That's someone told me that, and I didn't realize Beltre had an issue with anyone putting their hand on his head. I didn't realize he had an issue with that. Now I'm just, what's the big deal? Oh, we're a big deal. That's a big deal. Yeah, that's a big deal. All right, 330-886-0813. I guess we'll go, what is it? Jinx Radio with Rob Schmidt. We'll get his opinion on this because I call BS on this. I mean,
I don't think anyone really believes it. It's just one of those things that we like to give broadcasters a lot of BS about.
If the GOAT in baseball broadcasting,
if you legitimately believe, like the whole heart of hearts believe that a broadcaster saying it screws your team up, then. But it's a fun to do, and I'm not going to touch it.
But nobody gave Vin Scully any kind of grief whatsoever when he sat back and would say, Sandy Koufax has a no-hitter through 6 innings. Nobody gave him any grief.
Well, no one would give Darth Vader grief either. It's because it's Darth Vader. You just don't give Vin Scully.
Did you just compare Vin Scully to Darth Vader?
In the essence that he is the most feared and powerful broadcaster in all the galaxies.
Well, I don't necessarily know that he's feared. I mean, he's talented. I don't know if he. It's not like Vin Scully's going to the gun beach when he when he flexes. I mean, nobody's going to fear him.
I heard him say, "I find your lack of faith disturbing," at least twice.
We'll take a timeout. Rob Schmidt joining us. Stick around. More to come.
Hello, I'm Greg Burbick with G. Burbick Farms. For the last 100 years, my family has farmed in Columbiana and Mahoning counties. I began raising cattle in 1996 with the goal of providing a better product for you and your family on the dinner table. Our grass-fed and grain-supplemented Black Angus beef are raised with no hormones, steroids, or antibiotics. We're known for our hometown-friendly service and incredible tasting products. We're locally owned and have customers across the tri-state area. Our products go from our farm to your family. Stop by our farm on New Buffalo Road or visit us on the web at gburbickfarms.com. Don't forget to like us on Facebook. G. Burbick Farms, it just tastes better.
Hi, this is Tommy Clem, owner of WRS Insurance Solutions.
WRS Insurance Solutions is a local independent agency that specializes in life, Medicare, long-term care, and disability products. Call us at 330-953-3722 or visit us at wrsinsurancesolutions.com to learn more.
Good luck to all the student athletes in the Valley.
Right now is a great time to get more for your trade-in at Tri-State Ford and drive home in a new or pre-owned vehicle. Choose from our great selection of new Ford models or pre-owned vehicles. Plus, get the Tri-State Ford Advantage, including a 10-year, 200,000-mile warranty and more. At Tri-State Ford, we'll pay you top dollar for your trade, but you don't have to purchase one of ours to sell us yours.
Customer focus, community driven. Tri-State Ford East Liverpool or visit tristateford.net.
When looking for home design inspiration, don't just be inspired, be Baird inspired. Whether new or remodeling, Baird Brothers has the latest trends like shiplap to refresh your home. Go from inspiration to installation with our wide selection of in-stock American hardwoods. From the rustic charm of antique oak to the warmth of traditional cherry, Baird Brothers has what you need to make your home inspiring. Baird Brothers, our family's heritage, your family's home.
Welcome back to a Wednesday edition of Running Point presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. Ron Potesta with you, alongside a guy who believes in jinxes, Anthony Hardwig. And, we're going to have to now talk jinxes on the radio. This guy's not a jinx, but, you know, he and I have talked a little bit about basketball jinxes and what to say and what not to say on the air. So I suppose we should have the conversation. Rob Schmidt, the radio voice of the YSU men's basketball team, joining us on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. Mr. Schmidt, sir, how are you today?
I do indeed believe in superstitions and jinxes.
2 beats 3.
Okay. All right, now seriously. How many times this year on a broadcast have I sat back and said, hey, 8 for 8 from the free throw line? and clank, but I didn't knock on wood. Now we have an area where we're broadcasting in where I've now knocked on wood, and the jinx is jinx proof once you knock on wood. If you buy into any of this garbage,
told Ron he can knock on his head if he doesn't have a wooden table.
Most people do. They search Ron out when they're not around anything that's wood, and they just rap on his head a little bit and get that thing to work.
Why do you do this? Why do you say these things? Why do you hurt me, Godfather? Listen, obviously, if we had a way to unjinx the Penguins late in games, I would love to give that formula away. Oh man, these the weekend 3-point loss to Detroit Mercy on Friday. 5-point loss to Detroit Mercy on Saturday. Both of these games were winnable. Both of these games came down to the last possession or two, and unfortunately, it's starting to become a habit. Youngstown State not able to win these close games, which it's frustrating.
Well, no, and it's there's obviously there's a lot of contributing factors to that. The one is just, young guys still trying to figure it out. Freshman point guard, freshman two guard. But there's still enough veteran leadership on there that you would hope that they could, pull these games out of the fire. But, they're still learning how to do it. It's been one of those things, where they've either led or trailed in every game this year. There's only one game where they've never led. That was a 30-point loss to Wright State. Other than that, they've led in every game this year. So they've been in positions to win games, and it's just now it's a matter of trying to figure out what do they need to do better. If you remember correctly, in Saturday's loss, they had 2 empty possessions down the stretch with a couple of bad passes. Those are things that deny you the opportunity to win those close games or turnovers in opportune times like that.
You know, late game situations are one of the most glaring things that you can see a young team struggle with. You know, it's hard to teach. It's hard to really kind of bang into their heads how to handle late game situations at this level. Do you think going forward that's going to be really a point of emphasis, is trying to get these young kids to understand, you know, what they need to do in a late game situation?
Yeah, and I think, you know, I think they're hoping that they are, you know, they're at the point where they've been in this enough now. You know, of the Division I games that the YSU men have played this year, and right now that stands at 15. In that situation, again, because that's how tightly contested this league is, Ron and I have talked about it, you know, during the broadcast, and for the most part, it comes down to one or two possessions. You know, you hate to blame a foul here, a foul there, but more than likely it's a bad shot, it's a hurried shot, it's a turnover that determines the outcome. And in two of the two losses of the last three that they have suffered over the last 2 weekends, you can point directly at turnovers that have denied them an opportunity to win those games. So those are things that need to be taken care of, corrected, and if they are corrected, then you got to believe that, you know, those close games are going to start coming your way.
And even though people are going to look at this and go, "Oh God, YSU's 4-10 in the league, 8-10 overall," some folks will mutter to themselves, "Same old Penguins." Your statistic that you brought up about 3 minutes ago, the fact that this team has been in every single game, they have led every single game in league play with the exception of the second Wright State game. That tells me that this team can play with anybody, including Wright State, who they beat on a Friday night in front of a nationwide audience. So it's not like Youngstown State is 4-10, they're buried, and they have nowhere to go. No, this is a team that's 4-10, but they're on a given night when they are on their A game can play with anybody in this league. And as long as the guys understand, hey, even though the record doesn't indicate that we're anywhere close to the top of the leaderboard, we can catch fire if we play our A game and win 4 games in a row and represent the Horizon League in the upcoming NCAA tournament, as crazy as that sounds right now.
Oh, no, I mean, there's a lot of things that still can be played out. Obviously, you know, the one thing you mentioned about leads and deficits. So, you know, YSU has led in one time or another, as we had mentioned, they've led in every game but one. You know, at times they've led by double figures. If they can get up by double digits, they're 7-2 in those 9 games in which they've led by as many as 10 or more at any one stage of the game. You know, they've never led from wire to wire. That's maybe a little bit of a concern that they've never, and that includes the non-D1s. They've never led wire to wire. So, you know, that to me shows that, you know, they were inconsistent early in the year. They couldn't get off the quick starts. I think they've kind of battled through that now. Even though against UIC they fell behind 9-2, 9-4. They probably got to come out of the gates a little bit quicker this weekend at Robert Morris, and then maybe that'll give them a little more confidence moving forward and progressing towards halftime. And then the other thing is, you know, the way the Horizon League is situated now, because there are an uneven amount of games being played by the various schools, they've gone to a formula to determine seedings for the postseason tournament. So, you know, right now, YSU, even though they may be, you know, the second worst record in the league or the second worst winning percentage, they're actually 8th in the seeding and would host a first-round tournament game here. So, you know, these 2 road games are imperative because you get a little more extra value for road wins. But again, you know, right now, because they've played one of the more difficult schedules in the Horizon, the way it's been determined who they play, you know, they played the harder teams first. So, you know, the Penguins have, I think, the second highest opponent winning percentage in the league. So, you know, those things may all even out over the next 3 weeks. That's why I said there's a lot of contributing factors. I think they're disappointed at where they're at right now. There's no doubt. But I still think, you know, there's a long way to go and an opportunity for this team to make amends and make up for some of its earlier shortcomings.
And, you know, we've been rolling in the negatives for the first couple minutes of this interview with, you know, what they're struggling with and Let's talk about some positives and some players that have really stepped up and played well despite the losing effort, and some things you think the Penguins can build on going forward as they look to, as we said in the last question, the bright future that there's still a lot ahead of them.
Well, I think, the three guys that have played really well and really even more consistent as of late, but from start to finish, Naz Bohannon's been the best player on the floor. Naz has been YSU's best player this year. I don't think people around the league will agree that he should be an all-Horizon League first-team selection by year's end, even though I think he should be. He should be a Horizon League second-team pick, hands down. I just think he does so many things that other players in the league don't do, whether it's scoring, rebounding, or even handling the ball. He had 6 assists in each of the 2 games last weekend against Detroit Mercy. So Naz has played very well. He's had a phenomenal senior season. I think Michael Akuche, and Ron and I talk about it, has been very consistent. He's been down at times as far as, shooting the basketball. He's maintained his confidence, but one thing he's been very good at all year is rebounding the ball. They don't have a lot of size, so at 6'8", it's imperative that he rebounds, and he has done that. And then Garrett Covington gives you the stopper. Even though he has ups and downs offensively, he's usually the guy that you can depend upon to play as hard as he can defensively. So, those 3 guys are the ones you start with. And then the newcomers, the point guard Shamar Rattan-May, still learning how to play defense. It's probably his biggest shortcoming right now. And then, the other 2 guys that have sizable minutes would be Miles Hunter, the one freshman, and Alex Vargas had some sizable minutes as a freshman. Still inconsistent. Miles has probably had the better senior year since he's been inserted into the starting lineup. I still think Alex is trying to find his shot. And one of the problems has been, defense. They allowed Detroit Mercy to shoot better than 55% from the field in the 2 games last weekend. And that's just from guys trying to learn their roles and learn the speed of the game. So, I'm hoping all that as we head into the final month of the regular season has now come to be, and they've learned from those mistakes. And I think you're going to start seeing, some of those other guys start to take hold a little bit.
Rob, Sheikh Traore was not playing in either game against Detroit. Was that a coach's decision, or is he banged up?
I think it was a coach's decision. I talked with Michael Akuche on their weekly radio show earlier in the week, and he practices against Sheikh every week. He sees that he's getting better. He sees that he's picking things up and understanding where he needs to be in his role on the floor. I just think it's a matter of him still learning, him still being raw, and still trying to grasp the game. I don't think it reflects bad on him at all. I think the sky's the ceiling for him, and he's got a lot of untapped potential. But for right now, what they needed, I think they, over the weekend against Detroit Mercy, I think they felt they needed a guy that could be a little more consistent on the floor. So I think that was, neither team played a lot of guys, and I think when the game gets down to it, you're still going to see the bench, shrink to only 2 guys off of it, maybe 3. But I don't think it takes away from what his potential is.
Rob, let me ask you, speaking on his potential, and obviously this year is the Mulligan year, where everyone can come back if they want to come back, the seniors, and everybody else is getting an extra year of eligibility. Let's assume for a second that Michael Akuche decides to come back and play basketball for the 2021-2022 season. Does that benefit Sheikh Traore even more to have Akuche working with him for 2 years instead of this 1 year?
Yeah, I got to think so, Ron, because right now, the team still needs some height. They still need a presence inside. Both Akuche and Traore lead the team in block shots. Not a lot, but they lead the team in block shots. But I think anytime you can continue to learn from a guy who's played over 100 career games at this level, knows how difficult it is to play against the Horizon League. I think that only benefits Sheikh. And maybe what it does, maybe it allows Michael at times defensively to not have to defend the 5. Maybe he can step out and defend the 4. As I've talked to Coach Calhoun about it, he's kind of a split anyways. He's, as he calls it, a stretch 4, where offensively Akuche is at the 4, defensively he's at the 5. So, if that can continue, maybe you slide Michael back out to the 4 defensively, and then Shake plays the middle alongside of him. So it gives you more depth, it gives you more options. But, yeah, I definitely think it continues to help his improvement as a college basketball player.
Piggybacking on Ron's point that this is a mulligan year and you hit the reset button next year, do you think the results so far have hit a little less hard than they would in a normal season because of the fact that they understand that this all can be used as a learning experience and everyone kind of comes back next year at the same spot and with the same amount of eligibility? And if this season doesn't necessarily go exactly the way the coaches want to, it can be a learning tool and everyone kind of comes back and resets after next season?
I would hope. I think the coaches would all tell you that means everybody else in the league has that same advantage. Before the year started, that's a good question, Anthony. And the way I would have answered it before the year was YSU felt that they had a window of opportunity this season. The window's closed a little bit now as we move into February, but I felt after this year the league would then get better as a whole, and that window would close. So, I think you would see it at UIC, a team that has some height, has some length. They were beat up early by some injuries. All those guys, if they're together healthy and they can build a better backcourt, UIC becomes better. Robert Morris is a team which is struggling and has struggled all year with COVID. They've played the league's lowest amount of games at 9. But they get back maybe a guy that should be an all-team, and we're going to see him this weekend, a All-Horizon League first-teamer in A.J. Brahma. They figure out a way to compete better in the Horizon League. What they need to go recruit, it gives them an opportunity now to close the gap. So it's good and bad. I think it gives you a sense of you're ahead of the game. I think our guys felt they were behind the 8 ball because they had missed so much practice time in November. Well, now you've got these kids who should already understand your system going into year 2, so I think it puts them ahead. But this league is so close right now that I think everybody feels they have the same advantage coming back with another year under their belt.
I'm looking from a recruiting standpoint, adding Robert Morris into the Horizon League. Obviously, the Mahoning Valley is not known for its basketball, although high school basketball is starting to take a tremendous upswing in this area. But across the border in Mercer, Lawrence, and Beaver County, Western PA has always had some really, really good basketball historically, whether it be from Grove City, Farrell High School, Blackhawk in Beaver County, which is just across the border if you're traveling on State Route 14. Those areas right between Robert Morris and Youngstown State University. And then if you go up into the Cleveland area, right between Cleveland State and Youngstown State, it's going to be interesting to see the 100-mile radius of Youngstown, Ohio, how well that YSU is going to be able to recruit this area against 2 teams that are going to be basically doing the same idea, 100-mile radius from their town, and it's going to intersect, whether it be Cleveland and Youngstown or Youngstown and Pittsburgh, it's going to intersect each other. And I think that the addition of Robert Morris, from a recruiting aspect, the Horizon League is going to be so much of a factor when it comes to recruiting in the Mahoning Valley and parts due north and east.
Yeah, I think East is your biggest addition. Robert Morris has always been perceived as an Eastern school, even though it's 50 minutes away across the PA state line. A lot of their players that come from Philadelphia, New Jersey, they're going to start making their way to the Midwest a little bit more, probably trying to find, a little bit tougher guy. But yeah, they've always been recruiting in the East Coast. Like I mentioned, Philly, New Jersey, that side of Pennsylvania. I think maybe they come Midwest a little bit more. I think maybe now that maybe the Horizon League gets a little bit more play in the East. It extends your boundaries now for the other schools to maybe go to Philly and New Jersey and looking at recruiting. And Pittsburgh's got a pretty good little base of some players as well. And Erie, I think 3 of the incoming players for next year, one's from Erie, I think the other's from Mentor, and one more from Chesterland, West Geauga, if I'm not mistaken. So they're trying to stay close to home, but anytime you can build your recruiting base, I think that's a bonus, and obviously that's what Robert Morris helps you do.
And on the flip side, though, I'm sure Coach Calhoun and the coaching staff does not want to let Robert Morris come in and take people away from them in their home area, the circle that they've made in this valley. What do you think are the keys to making sure their flag stays home and they don't let Robert Morris or other Horizon teams kind of come into the circle and take some talent away from the Penguins?
I think one good thing and one bad thing. I think you got to beat them. I think you got to prove that this is the program that's up and coming. This is the program that has a leg up on Robert Morris. One thing that Robert Morris has going for it, and I've heard nothing but rave reviews over the last couple of days because the YSU women just got done playing there, is Robert Morris's new facility. The UPMC Event Center is beautiful. It was a $50 million project. Our women's team raved about it. Said it's a great setup. It's a bowl. They've got suites. Their visiting locker room is outstanding. That's going to give them a leg up on some of the other teams in this league because it's their own building. It's on campus. It's brand new. So, I think that's one of the things that the Horizon League looked at was that Robert Morris was investing money in its men's and women's basketball programs. So they were committed. And that building is too good for the Northeast Conference. So it's perfect for the Horizon. If Youngstown State were to ever try to remodel or rebuild, I think that's a place that you go look at as a floor plan, and that could help Robert Morris recruit. So, therefore, you got to beat them, and you got to hustle, and our staff does a great job of that. You got to hustle, and our campus is outstanding. When you get a kid on this campus, a lot more times than not, you're gonna seal the deal. I think we have a nicer campus than Robert Morris, but everybody has its advantages. But you got to beat them. You can't say, hey, come here if you've lost to Robert Morris 15 times in a row. It makes it difficult.
Well, and one of the things that I love about Robert Morris, before they came into the Horizon League, YSU played them. And you and I have talked an awful lot about this. Prior to Robert Morris being invited and accepting the invitation to come and join the Horizon League, that game was always the benchmark on where YSU's season was going to be. If you lost to Robert Morris, chances are that you were going to have a subpar season. But if you beat Robert Morris, there was a chance that this team, and more often than not, was going to have a reasonably good year. I for one, am pleased as hell that Robert Morris is in the Horizon League because I think that it gives Youngstown State a second natural rival along with Cleveland State, and the Cleveland-Pittsburgh hatred that is legendary can continue, albeit in the Horizon League with CSU and Robert Morris.
Now, I've always felt that way, Ron. I've always thought that non-conference game against Robert Morris, was a huge turning point in a season. The emotion that you got from beating them carried over for the next couple of weeks, and the disappointment from losing to them because they have a high opinion of themselves. They felt they could come in here and they should win all the time, or if we went there, they should win. I always felt this was a good barometer. I knew that we would have you wouldn't have any hangover if you were to beat them. It would only propel you to do better. But there was a hangover when you lost to them, and this weekend playing back-to-back days, and I think in all honesty it could be perceived a little different this weekend because now it's a league game, so it doesn't take on any more pressure or it doesn't count anymore. Like a non-conference barometer, and that you got them back-to-back days. But yeah, I've always considered Robert Morris a pretty good gauge about how good or bad your team's going to be. And we've had some classic battles with this team, so I'm looking forward to it. Robert Morris has always been a good opponent. They're coached very well by Andy Toole. So regardless of them being 2-7 in the league, they've got one of the best players in AJ Brahma, and it's not going to be easy. It won't be easy for our guys.
All that being said, do you think there's any other perfect team in the league to kind of start a Youngstown State revival if they go over there and beat them twice and then all of a sudden their season turns around? might be the perfect team on the schedule and the perfect timing for the Penguins.
It's a great point. You're right, because these are the last 2 regular season road games. So if you can get 2 on the road, then there's no doubt you're looking forward to the next 4 at home, and you feel really good about where you're at. Because remember now, they've got to try and put 2 wins together in a row. They've not been able to do that in league play. So the YSU men, if they can get 2 in a row at Robert Morris, I agree with you completely, Anthony. I think that really sets them up mentally to make a great run here heading to the tournament.
Rob Schmidt, the play-by-play voice of the YSU men's basketball program, joining us on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. All right, easier said than done. Obviously, Youngstown State has not put together a 2-game winning streak in conference play all year long. What are the keys for YSU to get that road sweep over a fun Robert Morris team?
I think they're going to have to defend better. You cannot allow them to shoot better than 50% from the field, like they allowed Detroit Mercy last weekend. So you got to defend better. I think in the 2 games against UIC, where Coach Calhoun and the staff were disappointed, I think they felt they defended really well those 2 games and felt they should have won them both. Obviously they lost the first game on a buzzer beater and then come back and won the next game by 8. So I think they felt they defended really well against UIC and not so well against Detroit Mercy. I think the other thing is they're not going to be facing the type of zone that they saw from Detroit Mercy or a Northern Kentucky or a Wright State. Robert Morris is going to play a man, so I think that will help. I think it's going to help Nas. I think you'll see him get involved a lot. But on that being said, Robert Morris likes to create turnovers, so you got to limit those. And that was the problem in Game 1 against Detroit Mercy, was allowing the Titans to score way too many points off of turnovers. So those 3 things, I think, carry over to this game. But I think first and foremost, you got to play good defense. They got to play the way they did against UIC and keep them in the 60s.
All right, you and I talked a little bit about the seeding earlier in the interview. It's fascinating that not everyone is going to be playing 20 league games. Now, in a perfect world, everyone would play their 20 league games, and you would go from there. The Horizon League has a different formula. Before the Detroit series, YSU was 6, unfortunately. They've dropped down to number 8. What would a couple of road victories against Robert Morris do for the program in terms of getting them back into the top 6?
Well, I think it would help solidify the opportunity to host a first-round game. There is still some thought that if you win the final 6 regular season games, that there is a possibility you could get all the way up to number 4. Now, that's a pretty big leap in a short amount of time, but there is that feeling that if you could win 6 straight, you got a shot still to get into that top 4, which gets you a first-round bye. But you get these 2 road wins, that now gives you 4 road wins on the season, and the multiplier helps. But I think what it really does, it really helps solidify the opportunity to host a first-round game, which is imperative, Ron, as you know, especially with no fans. It's important that you make sure you don't have to worry about getting on a bus, packing, or even worse, getting on a plane and flying, and then playing somewhere that you don't practice every day. So I think it all really starts this weekend. I think they can do a lot of good with 2 big wins this weekend.
And that just rolls right into the question. I mean, how important, in your perspective, is it for Youngstown State to finish the season and get that home court game and be able to play at home for the first round of the Horizon League tournament?
Well, the one funky thing, because there are no fans, you would think that being on the road is not a problem. It's still weird. Even if you're getting booed, at least there's some energy in the building. At least there's some excitement in the building. Right now, there is no, so you got to kind of create your own. And the difference is, these are the hoops that these guys practice on every day. This is, when they're getting shots up on their own, this is the place that they're getting it done at. A lot of times when you travel, you don't get a chance to practice or even shoot enough on the opponent's baskets. So I think that's huge. Just not having to worry about traveling on Thursday if you're playing Friday, Saturday. So I think the travel is huge. Last year you saw we hosted Milwaukee in the first round. beat them, had to go to Chicago in the second round of the Horizon League tournament, played hard, but ended up losing to UIC. So that's how important it is to have an opening round game, because you don't want to have to play every tournament game on the road.
Rob, before we let you go, and we are speaking with YSU men's broadcaster Rob Schmidt. He joins us on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. Stop if you've heard this question. The latest on one Darius Quisenberry. What is his status, if there is one, for this weekend and for the rest of the year?
Well, I think it's still a wait and see. I think we're still in a holding pattern. I think they're still optimistic that he returns. But, I think it's still up to Darius and his family and what the coaching staff can come to an agreement with. But I think they're still in a holding pattern. It's yet to be seen, if and when. I think it's more if as opposed to when. But, I think Darius returns. I think we're all kind of just playing the waiting game. I think you welcome him back. I think at this day and age with young people's mentality and this COVID thing wasn't easy. It's not been easy on students, and let alone student athletes. So I think everybody's got to handle it in their own way. So I think you welcome him back with open arms. I'm hoping to see him. Just don't know when.
Rob, always a pleasure, sir. We look forward to hearing your call on the game. Now, obviously, food. We always like to talk about food on the road trip. This is a no-brainer. Permane Brothers, right?
Yeah, you win.
Ron knows his partner. That's good.
It's a no-brainer. Pittsburgh Permane Brothers. You gotta do it.
No, because it's such a close trip. We're driving up, driving back, and then driving up, driving back. So post-game meal on Saturday includes Permane Brothers.
All right, let me ask you, because maybe my Pennsylvania geography is off. Robert Morris is located on our side of the Pittsburgh airport. Am I right with this, or am I off?
Oh no, it's a 50-minute drive. It's right there at the Pittsburgh airport in Moon Township. If you take the turnpike, you get off. I think it's exit 2. If you want to run through Ohio, like East Palestine, where you guys are at, and then come through Chippewa, it's a hop, skip, and a jump. This is an easy drive. It's even closer than Cleveland State. So we're gonna make the drive 2 separate days.
Yeah, I don't know why in the hell anyone would want to go on the Pennsylvania Turnpike when all you need to do is go on 14, drive past East Palestine, drive to Chippewa, pick up 365? No, not 365. 376. And take it all the way to Robert Morris. And you don't spend any money, and you don't pay those rascals. And I'm going to be kind, instead of calling them a-holes, all kinds of money to drive on their pothole-infested road.
I'll wave at you as we head that way on Friday, because that was the way I was planning to go. Was come down through East Palestine and into Chippewa there and avoid the PA Turnpike. Yep, I will beat the horn as I drive by.
Yeah, I don't blame you on that one. And it's not that far of a drive. It's,
nope.
And I literally live off of 14, so this is a no-brainer for me. That's if fans were allowed, I'd be driving over to Coriopolis and Moon Township and watching these 2 games without any problems.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. This is you're right. This is a true rival in my mind. I think Robert Morris, at least to me, is a rival. As long as I've been doing it, and as many times as I've, seen us play there, play well and not win, and play here and play well and not win, and vice versa. This is a rival for me. I like beating them, and I like to see our teams beat them. So I'm excited about the weekend and anxious to see our guys play.
I look forward to hearing your review on this brand new arena of theirs.
Yeah, I'll take the pictures. I'll shoot them to you, and you can take a look at it yourself.
That sounds like a plan. All right, always a pleasure, sir. Look forward to hearing your call.
Thanks, Ron. Appreciate it, guys.
All right, see ya. Rob Schmidt, the play-by-play voice of the YSU men's basketball department.
It says the civilized architecture people would say it is pristine.
It's pristine.
It's a pristine area.
Yeah, pristine
it's
in
very,
Pittsburgh.
It's very nice.
That's rarely said in the same sentence. It's very nice,
but and it was really cool to see, Robert Morris invest in that program and both programs, because it's men and women's, and give them a very expensive facility for the size of college they are.
Yeah.
It's not like Robert Morris is like in Alabama that can go spend millions of dollars on a complex.
What is that arena seat? 6?
It's a bowl, so it's got to be at least 6.
Yeah.
Not 6 people.
No, 6,000. Yeah.
Then now in COVID, 6 people.
Well, yeah, pretty much. No, I look forward to seeing pictures of this because I heard they were going to be spending an awful lot of money on a brand new arena, and I was intrigued by this. And obviously, it makes sense for them to spend the big bucks on this arena.
It goes beyond the floor and the seating. I mean, the facilities, the locker rooms, the suites, everything they put into it. It's a really nice facility.
We don't have any suites at Bigley.
No, but there's nowhere to put suites.
No,
we have the crow's nest in the corner that you can go see. That's a suite.
Yeah. Well, that's where we're broadcasting our games now.
That's your suite, right?
Yeah,
there.
that's our suite.
That's the media suite.
Exactly.
I'm gonna have them close that in, and I'm gonna have it called the Anthony Hartwig Media Suite.
Ah,
we'll have that.
Okay. There's no, I'm not trying to down Bigley because that's actually that facility has a lot of classrooms in Bigley.
Oh yeah.
You have a lot of classrooms where some
Bigley has like the classrooms, the swimming pool, all the athletic departments. Almost all of them, volleyball's in there, and so it's a multi-facet, multi-purpose building.
Exactly, and oh, by the way, we have a pretty nice basketball arena within Bigley, but it's not a solely basketball arena with suites, bells, whistles, and the whole 9 yards.
I kind of like it though. I mean,
I love Bigley.
It's a little bit of nostalgia to the old way that they used to put in basketball, venues. I really like the separate sections up in the air on the sides.
Yeah.
Where in a normal non-COVID world, students can sit and get real rowdy. And I like the chair back seats, and it's a good feel. They have a beautiful floor that they put in a couple of years ago.
Oh God, I love that floor.
So
yeah,
it's a nice place. I like it.
It is. It's a really nice place. But here in Robert Morris, you have a place that actually has suites, which that's a whole new ball game there. I mean, you kind of think Stambaugh Stadium, which has a ton of suites for the football fans, and hopefully, hold on a second.
There you go.
You're going to have some people using those suites when YSU has their football season, and hopefully that's going to be the case.
Yeah, and the thing about Bigley, and the thing that, like I said, I really like, the nostalgia of it. It kind of goes back to olden basketball times. It's got a charm to it when it's not the cookie cutter new basketball arena that's just a straight up bowl, and it doesn't look any different than, like, Robert Morris is a beautiful place, but it really doesn't look any different than any other bowl or new basketball arena.
Yeah.
It's cookie cutter.
It's kind of a scaled down version of Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse.
And Bigley is not cookie cutter, and that's one of the things that I kind of like about it. So I like things that go off the beaten path a little bit.
What I would like to see more, and obviously it's, with COVID, it's probably on the back burner somewhere.
It might be off the back burner.
Somebody in the university needs to take the bull by the horns and do something for Ed DeGregorio, whether it's a plaque, whether it's a statue, whether it's just something, because Ed DeGregorio is the only Division I basketball coach, men's or women's basketball, that has ever taken a YSU basketball team into March Madness. This needs to be done.
And I'm sure there were plans pre-COVID.
Yeah, and I think COVID was probably the reason why it's on the back burner right now.
And I am almost definite with seeing the reaction when he died, and the whole YSU athletics department and family just kind of upcry and lift him up and his family up. I am sure there's something in the horizon. Where
pun intended.
Pun very intended. something on the horizon where they're going to be honoring him at Beagley with something in that basketball.
Yeah, and hopefully that is the case because, like I said, that era of the mid-late 90s was, dear God, was that a special era.
I think the snapshot of what he did he brought Pat Summitt to Youngstown State.
Yes.
That's if you want something that goes past this getting to the tournament, which is a feat in itself, you got one of the best coaches, period, to come to your place and play you in Youngstown.
Yeah. Who does that?
That's impressive.
I mean, Pat Summitt, you talk about, and pun intended on this, the summit of coaches in women's basketball or basketball in general. Pat Summitt is right there. It doesn't matter whether it's guys or girls basketball. Pat Summitt is one of the greatest basketball coaches, period, of all time. Who does this? Where the best college basketball team of the era, the Tennessee Volunteers, coming to Beagley to play Youngstown State. Right. That doesn't happen. I mean,
when was the last time that UConn traveled to one of their mid-major opponents and played? Like, Gino doesn't do that.
No, hell no. He'd never do that.
He'd never do that. So,
but that's where that's the respect level that Ed DeGregorio had when he was at the helm of Youngstown State. I mean, like I said, you don't bring a blue blood of all blue blood schools into a mid-major arena that, no disrespect to Beagley, nowhere near Thompson Bowling
Summit Court.
Summit Court in Knoxville. There's nowhere near that. I mean, first of all, that seats 20,000. Beagley seats 2.5, 3 times fewer seats. It doesn't make any sense business-wise, but that was how much cachet DeGregorio had.
Bringing out the fancy words.
Yeah, well, you know, I am a Leetonia grad, and nothing says fancy like Leetonia. I can't even say that with a straight face.
You're right, and it's great to talk about that on National Girls and Women in Sports Day. So
I would hope that
topic.
when the time comes when we are finally rid of COVID, I hope the time comes when we bring something that allows Coach DeGregorio, whether it be a statue, whether it be a plaque. You can't name the floor because Dom Roselli did so much to the university, and the floor is already named after Dom Roselli.
What about the actual, like the arena? I know it's Beagley Center, but like just the Beagley Center's the whole building, right?
Yeah.
So what if you name that room with the basketball court? I don't know the arena.
Yeah.
The
Ed DeGregorio Arena.
And then inside the arena
Center
is the Roselli court.
Yeah. It's
a good idea.
That's a great idea. You know, a bronze statue of DeGregorio would be another great idea, but something will hopefully, fingers crossed, the university does something for the coach. And like I'll repeat this, and hopefully Coach Barnes and Coach Calhoun are going to follow in Coach DeGregorio's step. But as of right now, Coach DeGregorio is the only coach in the history of YSU Division I basketball to lead his team to 3, not 1, not 2, 3 NCAA tournament appearances. The only basketball team that has ever crashed the March Madness dance, and YSU did it 3 times. And won a game. Yeah.
So, but just an idea. Do you remember those penguin statues that were popping up? Like maybe 6 or 7 years ago, it was a penguin and they'd have different designs on it.
Oh, yeah.
What if you had a penguin statue like that in the lobby at Beagley that honored Coach DeGregorio?
There you go.
That would be awesome.
I would love that.
You know, with some snapshots of his career in the belly of the penguin, and maybe like, you know, I think that'd be cool.
I think anything that would honor this guy, and I know the YSU marketing department will do something.
Hopefully they're listening.
Well, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they're going to probably hire you if they're listening. You know, so there you go. 330-886-0813.
If you have to ask, you can't afford me.
Well, you got the red on. All you got to do is replace your
get some black
your Chiefs gear with YSU apparel.
Oh, man. Just kidding. I'm very affordable.
330-886-0813. We're back. Actually, before we take a time out, I was reminded from a very dear friend of mine, the football signing day part 2 was a couple of days ago.
Yeah, we saw a lot of YSN people go on to New Horizons.
We got a couple of local kids that are now staying home. Chris Samarone and the Medvick from Springfield, Clayton Medvick, is staying home as well. Give it up to Coach Phillips and the coaching staff at Youngstown State University. There was a time when Jim Tressel wasn't the president of the university. He was the head coach. And it was a perfect storm because the Mid-American Conference was nowhere near the conference that it is today. And Youngstown State was playing on a level that was as good or better than the MAC, where he could plant the flag in the state of Youngstown, draw a 100-mile radius around the state of Youngstown, and get 85 to 90% of his recruits from that area. And it worked.
And he actually did it. He was out there with a paintbrush.
Yeah, I can see Tress doing that too. But it seems that they have decided to go back to that formula. Now, there's a little bit of a difference, though.
That and this year, the talent in football in the area it's really, really good. There are definitely things to pick.
Sure.
Which is also a factor.
Absolutely.
There's a lot for YSU to kind of pluck off the tree of the Mahoning Valley.
Now, what is different is the Mid-American Conference has become a pretty good mid-major conference.
Yes, but caveat to that, Kent State and Akron.
Yeah, they're still a little.
The ones that are the biggest threat to Youngstown State, geographically, not great programs. Ohio, they're getting a lot better, but they're in Athens.
Yes.
And Toledo, Toledo's not going to come and grab your hometown kids. A lot of them, at least. So, I think the fact that Akron and Kent State are both down program wise, a little bit of an advantage for YSU.
Absolutely, but I think that you can still do the 100-mile radius around the state of Youngstown and still grab some really impressive recruits. And I think if Coach Phillips continues to do this, you're going to bring, hopefully, the argument of, we'll start supporting Youngstown State when they get a lot of local kids.
Well, okay, here we go.
Local kids are coming, so hopefully y'all come out of the woodwork and support this team as we start playing spring football
I'll tell you
this
one
year.
thing. If they get back in the playoffs and they have a home playoff game, it better be a better attendance than the last time because, I don't want to be too grim, but Penguin fans, it was embarrassing.
I went off.
It was embarrassing. That playoff game was a home game, and the attendance was sparse.
Yeah,
to be kind.
I remember going off on Monday, after the home game on a Saturday, and I just lit up the fans of Youngstown State and just went to town. And I remember the marketing department. They're obviously they can't say anything, and
Right.
you don't want to say anything because the worst thing that you can do is alienate your fan base. That's what radio hosts are for, or people that are not involved with your university. That's what they're for. And I remember that Jerry Slocum was still the head basketball coach, and he came up to me after. I think I was helping Rob out with a basketball game where I was covering. Now I wasn't even working with YSU at the time. I was covering the Penguins for that basketball game. And Jerry Slocum comes up to me after the game and he goes, "You said something that everyone in this university wanted to say, but we couldn't say." You're right. And
that was the year we went all the way to the championship.
Absolutely.
And it was just like, come on. I get it. At that point in the playoffs, it wasn't as exciting. Like we didn't know what was coming.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone expected that Penguins team to go as far as they did.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree
with
that.
But it's still the first playoff game in Youngstown State in a long time. I forget how long it had been at that point.
It'd been a while.
It'd been a while. And it was just, the game was televised, and it was just like, oh, this is what we're putting on.
Yeah, fans disguised as empty chairs.
That's what it was.
I was
I think
pissed.
kids wore camo. That's what happened.
Yeah, I was pissed, and it wasn't nice.
I get
now.
it.
But I'm with you. I mean, especially this spring. Look, if Youngstown State, and they've got a daunting schedule because the Missouri Valley Football Conference is a beast, and the first 4 games of this schedule. Whew,
that's another great.
Do a lot of this. You're going to need to.
Another great recruiting tool. Hey, you might be coming to a Division I AA school, or now that's called FCS, to be correct. But we're in the best conference in the FCS, hands down. So you're coming and you're getting better as an athlete, or you're not competing. It's a great recruiting tool for YSU. It's like the MAC. Okay, we're FBS, but you're playing in a really mid-major, competition, and you might play one big school a year, and I think the selling point on competition might be a little bit better for YSU.
Well, if you value a FCS championship,
yeah,
and I think that championships are valued a little more than bowl games.
You value playing in the best conference in a level compared to playing in a lower rung mid-major in the other. I think that's a recruiting tool. We're playing in the absolute best conference. Yes, it's the FCS, but it's the best conference in the FCS. Head and shoulders, not even a discussion.
Yep, I agree. Now, the Colonial is good. It's got James Madison, a couple of schools, but you're right. I mean, the Missouri Valley Football Conference is much better. Now, geographically, doesn't make any sense for Youngstown State. But they're in the best conference, and that's the selling point.
You mean you don't think we should be in the same conference as the Dakotas?
Well, I'm not saying
Some
that.
Dakotas,
I'm just Canada Light, eh? I think that they would do. It would make more sense geographically to join another conference, but then you wouldn't have the competition that you have now. And
then, of course, the Horizon League doesn't have football, so where are you?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. But at the end of the day, the selling point is you have an opportunity to win a national championship here. You haven't a chance in hell at winning a national championship if you go to a Mid-American Conference.
Your best chance is you win a MAC championship and you go to a really good bowl game, and maybe you get a chance to play a Power 5 school in a bowl game. That's the biggest selling point.
Unless if you're in the perfect alignment where you finish undefeated and you're never going to get a playoff berth, but you get into a Super Bowl 6 kind of thing, New Year's 6. Which, who was it? Well, it wasn't Ball State. It was which MAC school? Eastern Illinois? No. One of the MAC schools.
Western Michigan.
One of the MAC schools got into a New Year's 6 bowl.
Western Michigan.
Yeah, and got destroyed. But they were in a New Year's 6 bowl.
They were the story of that season. They went undefeated. They earned their spot there, and I think their quarterback went pro. I don't remember his name.
Yeah,
which is sad.
And the other selling point, and I've said this all along, the greatest wide receiver in the history of the National Football League, and arguably the greatest running back not named Jim Brown in the history of the National Football League, both have something in common. They both came from an FCS environment.
You're right.
So it doesn't.
It breeds success, man.
It breeds success.
Let's go. Follow me to freedom. And on that note, I think we should take a break.
The inner Charlie Steiner coming out in Anthony Hartwig. We will take a final timeout and set up Power Hour, which is coming up next. We'll tell you what's on the network. And perhaps Anthony will do that in his Charlie Steiner, follow me to freedom voice. We're back in a bit. Stick around.
New things happen all day. Some are good, some not so good. In today's complicated world, while you're busy working, playing, and living life, we're busy helping you make sense of the day's news. And there's only one place where it comes together with clarity, context, and accountability. It's 21 News at 6 with me, Madison Tromler, and Derek Steyer.
21 News at 6. It's what the day's news really means to you.
Welcome home to a home made homier with Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. Inspiration starts at BairdBrothers.com and is turned into reality when high-quality hardwoods are delivered right to your home. Baird Brothers has the latest design trends: shiplap and skinny lap interior siding, antique oak rustic flooring, and, well, you'll find them all at BairdBrothers.com. Ordered easily, delivered conveniently, enjoyed comfortably. BairdBrothers.com.
WRS Wealth Advisors, the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Located on South Avenue in Boardman.
Hi, this is Jim Myers with Myers Family Insurance, your local Medicare and retirement resource. We're excited to have sports back. Whether you're on the field or cheering from the stands, sports unifies communities and brings hope for the future. We're all one team working together. At Myers Family Insurance, we know the importance of a great team.
Our team continues to grow to help you with your Medicare and retirement needs.
The annual election period is October 15th through December 7th. Now's the time to make sure your plan continues to meet your needs for the upcoming year.
Call today.
Hi, I'm Colin Chupa. And I'm Kelsey Clem from K-Squared Marketing. Our boutique marketing firm specializes in media planning and buying, public relations, event marketing strategies, and strategic sponsorships. We can integrate our services with your existing game plan, or we can be your entire marketing team. Your goals, our game plan. Let's win together. Call K-Squared Marketing at 330-623-2730 or visit ksquared.marketing to learn more.
Welcome back as we get set to close up shop on this Wednesday edition of Running Point on ysnlive.com. All right, we got 4 games on the network tonight. 3 girls game and a very intriguing boys contest. Anthony, you got the schedule up?
I do. We got Poland is traveling to Liberty. I'll be there to call that one. That'll be fun. JFK goes to Niles. We have Cheney going to Boardman. Some of these are late ads, so they might not be on our live page yet.
Gotcha.
They will be on our live page by the time.
Those are girls' games.
All girls' games right now. And Warren Harding is traveling to Canfield. Richie Giuliano will have that call. That'll be a fun one, and that'll be a measuring stick for Canfield as they look and see what they can do in the tournament going forward.
One boys game at the Fieldhouse tonight. The JFK boys, fresh off their 20-point victory over Waterloo. That's a damn good victory. They're gonna get an interesting test. They go to the Fieldhouse to take on Struthers. We're going to find out just how good this D4 Warren JFK team is tonight.
Yeah, especially it's always tough to play back-to-back days and have the same intensity. So beating Waterloo last night and then coming up the next day and having another tough test going to Struthers. If you can play with Struthers, that'll be a big feather in the cap for JFK.
Well, you stole my thunder, because if JFK can keep Struthers a 10-point deficit, look, if they win the game, everyone's going to lose their mind and say, well, JFK is a top 3 seed in the D4 tournament. If they are within 10 of Struthers, does that help them when the voting comes out on Sunday?
With the teams in the area, yes. I think the teams out of area won't see the score, they'll see the record. But the teams in the area that see that score and understand what that accomplishment is, absolutely it helps them. And the one avenue I'll give JFK is Struthers has made a little bit of a habit this year of starting kind of slow. So if you can really start fast and put them in a hole at halftime, you might have a chance.
We'll see what happens, and we'll definitely talk about it tomorrow when we have our show noon to 3 tomorrow.
Tomorrow we got 2 girls coaches confirmed, so we'll have Ken Forsyth from Brookfield and Mark Baker from Newton Falls both calling in. We'll try to get a third, and we got Dre Smith, so we'll have a fun show tomorrow. Focus on the girls.
Yeah, we're efforting a couple of coaches around the valley to come on board tomorrow as the ladies are in the spotlight tomorrow. And again, today is National Girls and Women's in Sports Day, so kind of ironic that we were talking some girls hoops and girls sports today on that day. That'll do it for the show. Many thanks to Rob Schmidt. Many thanks to Brian Tolnar. And we will be back doing this again tomorrow from noon until 3. DJ and the fellas have Power Hour